Chapter 1440 Yi, Wan looked at 7-Star. What do you think, 7-Star? Don't fight them. 7-Star calmly said. The faction subordinate to Azura isn't weak and has a decent relationship with Azura. I've even heard they have some connections to Lord Azura himself. If we do retaliate, Azura will definitely act as well, and we'll be in a very dangerous situation. Giving up a branch is no big deal. Yuan nodded lightly after 7-Star finished speaking. She swept her eyes over everyone and announced, "Gather the members immediately. I'll personally lead the group to eliminate that faction under Azura." Silence descended on the conference room. Aside from Big Dipper, everyone else stared at Yi Wan in astonishment, and 7-Star had a deep frown on his face. Even the higher-ups who clamored to seek revenge reacted the same way, who didn't know how to boast impressively. However, it was an entirely different matter if they seriously had to act. President, utter nonsense. What should we do if Azura attacks? A higher-up looked at Yuan, all worked up. That's right. In consideration of the Fearless Alliance's strength and how the Northern District is fairly close to us, it's truly disadvantageous for us to attack on a large scale. You must reconsider carefully, President. Don't indulge in momentary gratification. Various higher-ups all inputted their opinions and thought Yuan knew jack shit and was playing with the Fearless Alliance's future. What? Yuan snorted. I heard how intense your argument was earlier, and a lot of people cried for revenge and a fight. Yet, you're all opposing me now? It's easy for you to just open your mouth and ask for revenge, right? But you're all cowards like old dogs when it comes to actually doing anything. Many of the higher-ups' expressions shifted. This woman was insulting them as old dogs in this roundabout way. No, this wasn't roundabout. She was pointing at them and insulting them. President, it's inadvisable to involve a large number of people when going to the Northern District. Otherwise, it's the same as revealing ourselves to the whole state, and that subordinate faction will also make preparations in advance. If they team up with Azura and set up an ambush, we'd basically be willingly walking into a trap, a higher-up said with a snort. Did this damn woman really think she was the president of the Fearless Alliance? If they didn't sign an agreement before and didn't find evidence proving she was pretending to be the president, she wouldn't be able to skip and jump about the conference room, spouting nonsense like this. Yuan glanced at the elderly man who spoke and snorted. Your words are reasonable, of course. It isn't suitable to engage in great fanfare for this fight. I only need 100 people. 100 people? When everyone heard Yuan's arrogant words, Big Dipper and 7-Star were startled, let alone the other higher-ups in the room. She wanted to seek revenge on a subordinate faction under Azura with a mere 100 people? The destroyed Fearless Alliance branch in the Northern District had more than 1,000 people. Even a branch with 1,000 people was destroyed, yet she wanted to take only 100 people to seek revenge. Ha, great. The president is truly the president. We naturally can't compare to you. Since you've spoken, then please lead 100 people to seek revenge, President, an elder said with a string of laughter. He'd like to see what kind of price this woman was going to pay for her ignorance and arrogance. If she truly was the president of the Fearless Alliance, perhaps she could really eradicate a subordinate faction under Azura with a mere 100 people. But was she? Chapter 1441 1441 Yuan turned to 7-Star and Big Dipper and said, Go and pick out the 98 most elite members of Fearless Alliance. Big Dipper was taken back and asked, bewildered, Sis Foam, shouldn't I pick out 100 people? Why are we only picking 98? Yuan glanced at Big Dipper. Aren't you a person? Before Big Dipper could respond, 7-Star said, You and I count as 2 people. Big Dipper thought about it and nodded. I see. Meeting adjourned. Yuan stood up from the chief's seat and strolled out of the conference room without a backward glance. Big Dipper and 7-Star followed after Yuan. Sis Foam, are we really going to attack Azura's subordinate faction powers? 7-Star asked with a slight frown as he caught up to Yuan with large strides. This decision was a bit too brazen in 7-Star's point of view. She wanted to seek revenge successfully with a mere 100 people. It wasn't realistic at all. There was an extremely high possibility that this decision would lead to the utter demise of the 100 members she led there. I have my own plans, Yuan replied. 7-star, are you becoming timider? Big Dipper glanced at 7-star. When has the Fearless Alliance ever been scared? This has nothing to do with being scared, 7-star said. Before Big Dipper could say anything, Yuan interrupted them. Go and choose the people first. Since Yuan made her decision already, 7-star wasn't going to say anything more. He went with Big Dipper to choose the elite members. In the evening, the 98 people were all chosen. Each person was an elite member of the Fearless Alliance. After they learned they were about to go to the Northern District and seek revenge on Azura's subordinate faction, they were all somewhat unwilling. They felt like they were marching to their deaths. However, this was the president's orders, so they had no choice but to obey. Evening. Fearless Alliance's headquarters, inside Yuan's office. Virus yawned and propped its head on Yuan's legs, looking at Yuan with its breathtaking eyes. Yuan ascertained that no one else was around before taking out her phone and checking her QQ messages. Gongsu, Brother Yi, where did you travel to? Space? Why aren't you back yet? Luo-chun, are you online, Brother Yi? Han Xinyu, Yibai, where did you go lately? I haven't gotten any news from you at all and can't reach you by phone. Please call me back if you see this message. After reading through the messages, she flicked her finger and erased every message. The consequences were inconceivable if someone else saw these messages. Yuan rarely messaged even her mother, Liang Wanjun. She only occasionally reported her safety and asked about her mother's well-being along with Yi Mufan's and her father's recent situation. After deleting the messages, Yuan called Nameless Nye. Hello, Nameless Nye's voice resounded from the phone. Meet up with me. I need you for something. Yuan got straight to the topic. Sister Famous Yi, meeting up isn't a problem, but you need to pay the hiring fee for the Star Destroyer mercenary team first, Nameless Nye said urgently. I sent you the address already. We can settle the bill then. Yuan hung up after saying that. Then she stood up and gave Virus and Great White a round of scratching and petting before leaving the Fearless Alliance. A tea house in Yun City. Yuan waited for more than an hour before Nameless Nye entered with the dust of a long journey. Here, Yuan called at him. Nameless Nye looked around for a moment and saw Yuan. He strode toward her. Chapter 1442, Sister Famous Yi. Why did you call me here so urgently? Also, Curly from the Star Destroyer mercenary team said you ran away without paying the hiring fee. It's his hard-earned money. Sister Famous Yi, you can't duck out of paying. Yuan rolled her eyes. Do I look like someone who doesn't pay? Something happened last time, so I didn't have time to pay. That's true. I trust Boss Famous' financial abilities. Nameless Nye took a sip of his tea and leaned close to Yuan. Boss Famous, say, do you want to pay by card or cash? A check also works. Why are you in such a hurry? I have another business deal for you. Do you want it? Yuan smiled faintly. Business deal? Nameless Nye was startled. What business deal? A mercenary business deal, of course. Why else would I call you? Yuan said. I thought you came to repay your debt, Boss Famous. You just can't help but mention money every 3 sentences. I have a need for manpower right now. If you accept this order, I'll pay for everything then and won't leave out a single cent. If you perform well, I might even pay more. How about it? Yuan asked with a smile. Boss Famous, what are you planning to do with the hired mercenaries? Nameless Nye inquired. A clan offended me, so I'm planning to teach them a lesson, Yuan replied. Sure. Nameless Nye nodded frantically and looked at Yuan. Boss Famous, you found the right person by seeking me out for this type of thing. We're professionals. However, who do you plan to hire, Boss Famous? I have many mercenary teams under me. Nameless Nye took out a pen and a piece of paper and handed it to Yuan. Boss Famous, were you satisfied with the Star Destroyer mercenary team's services last time? If you're satisfied, please give 4 stars. If you're very satisfied, please give 5 stars. If you're unsatisfied, please give 1 star. We're all corporation style, and need to have performance reports and evaluations. Yuan, the longer I live, the more I see. Vicious mercenaries actually need their customers to give them star ratings. Yuan had no choice but to helplessly draw 5 stars on the paper and give the pen and paper back to Nameless Nia. Can we talk official business now? Yuan sighed. Sure, Nameless Nia nodded. What kind of mercenary team are you looking for this time? Boss Famous. Both T1 and T2 level are good. T1 is a bit more expensive while T2 is more economical and cost-effective. How about you use the Star Destroyer mercenary team again, this time, since you're so familiar with them now? However, Yuan shook her head after listening to Nameless Nia's non-stop prattling. She stared at Nameless Nia and smiled. This time, I want to hire you. Nameless Nia was taken back. Hire me? After he regained his senses, he shook his head frantically. Boss Famous, what are you saying? I'm a boss myself. The boss doesn't get hired. Yuan was rendered speechless. He was nothing like how he was when he didn't have money to eat back in China. He had grown a tough pair of wings after coming back to the independent state. He wouldn't even accept being employed anymore. You can hire Spray of Flowers, Taoist Devotee, Brick-Moving Foreigner, and Dead Man. How about that? They're Super T1 level mercenaries. They might be a bit expensive, but don't worry. They're expensive for a good reason. Every cent you spend will be worth it. Nameless Nia advertised. Chapter 1443. Yuan rested her chin on her hand and thought about it. Yuan said, then, I'll hire Spray of Flowers. Oh, Boss Famous, it's like this. Spray of Flowers went out on a mission and isn't free in these next few days. Nameless Nia answered honestly. Yuan, then I'll hire Dead Man, Yuan said. Dead Man and Spray of Flowers went out on a mission together. Nameless Nia smiled faintly. Yuan's lips twitched as she looked at Nameless Nia's infuriating face. Was he playing with her? He was advertising them so enthusiastically moments ago, and now he went back on his words and said they went on a mission? But Brick-Moving Foreigner and Taoist Devotee are both available. You can't underestimate those two people, Boss Famous. They're my most beloved employees. If we weren't so close, I definitely wouldn't recommend them to you, Nameless Nia said. True, those two people were fine too. Yuan nodded and agreed in the end, hiring both Taoist Devotee and Brick-Moving Foreigner. Yuan naturally trusted their strength. Unfortunately, Spray of Flowers and Dead Man were on a mission already, or else she would have hired all 4 of them. I'll take both Taoist Devotee and Brick-Moving Foreigner, Yuan said. Hee, Boss Famous. How about you pay a down payment first? Nameless Nia said with a laugh while staring at Yuan. I'll pay it all after the mission finishes. What? Are you afraid I'll run away? Yuan said instead. Nameless Nia had no choice but to relent in the end. He couldn't do anything if Yuan didn't want to pay right now. Yuan stood up and left the tea house after her discussion with Nameless Nia. At that moment, Big Dipper and 7 Star had already led the chosen elite members and departed for the northern district ahead of Yuan. As people said, the cover of the night was perfect for killing. They took advantage of the darkness and led 100 people toward the northern district to attack the subordinate Azura faction while they were unprepared. A little while later, Brick-Moving Foreigner and Taoist Devotee met up with Yuan near the tea house. Boss Famous, have you eaten shit yet? Brick-Moving Foreigner walked toward Yuan with a bright grin that revealed his pearly teeth. Yuan's lips twitched. No. Have you eaten yet? I've eaten shit. Brick-Moving Foreigner nodded cheerfully. Yuan. She really didn't want to continue this disgusting topic. Could it be that this idiot still didn't know the meaning of shit? Wasn't this too illogical? However, on the other hand, Yuan could understand it. For a mercenary at Brick-Moving Foreigner's level, even if he interacted with other people and asked if they ate shit yet, other people probably didn't dare to respond or explain the true meaning of eating shit. Boss Famous, I didn't expect you to also come to the independent state. I'll definitely need to treat Boss Famous to a good meal of shit after this mission ends. Eat it yourself. Thanks, you're too polite. I'll treat you to a meal later. Yuan squeezed out reluctantly. Yi Wanwan didn't dare to tell brick-moving foreigner the true meaning of eating shit, though. If he learned he'd been deceived by Taoist devotee and spray of flowers to this extent, it was very possible that he'd turn on them immediately and beat them to death. He definitely would. Boss famous. Captain said it's a patrician family in the Northern District? Taoist devotee asked. Yi Wanwan nodded and told them the whole story. Boss famous. You're actually pretending to be the leader of the Fearless Alliance. Brick-moving foreigner looked at Yi Wanwan with astonishment. Chapter 1444, So what? Boss famous has even led us to pretend to be the Rose of Death. Taoist devotee interjected. Carefully thinking about it, that was true. They didn't expect Boss famous to have this kind of special ability and have the guts to masquerade as anyone. After some casual conversation, Yi Wanwan drove them toward the Northern District. It wasn't until nightfall that they reached the Northern District of the independent state. Different from Yun City, the Northern District was considered the countryside, and it wasn't an overstatement to say this place was nearly devoid of humans. Big Dipper and 7 Star were waiting for Yi Wanwan already. When they saw Yi Wanwan getting out of the car, they walked toward her. Taoist devotee chuckled awkwardly and said, Boss, President Bai, it's not good to come here on a quest for revenge with just this handful of people, right? Yi Wanwan glanced at Taoist devotee. If I brought enough people, why would I need you here? Taoist devotee was startled. That's true, Sis Feng. Who are these two? 7 Star asked with a furrow of his brows while examining Taoist devotee and brick-moving foreigner. Friends, Yi Wanwan replied. The mercenaries under nameless Nia rarely appeared in the independent state unless they were on a mission. Plus, they were usually very secretive, so most people didn't know their identities. The first rule of a mercenary was to conceal their own identity well. If they couldn't even conceal their identity, how were they qualified to be a mercenary and accept any missions? Taoist, devotee, and brick-moving foreigner were particularly unknown. What's the situation? Yi Wanwan asked 7 Star and Big Dipper. Sis Feng, it doesn't look good. Big Dipper looked very solemn as he walked toward Yi Wanwan and explained the current situation to her. The subordinate faction under Azura is the Yuan family. The Yuan family's headquarters is a dozen or so kilometers from our current location. But they seem to have detected us ahead of time, and nearly 20 brothers are seriously injured. Several members of the Fearless Alliance collapsed onto the ground just as Big Dipper finished speaking, and waves of laments and moaning left their mouths, as though they were suffering from intense pain. As Yi Wanwan looked at the fallen people, she looked calm on the surface, but she was incredibly shaken on the inside. Before Yi Wanwan could say anything, blood started pouring out of these people's eyes, nose, ears, and mouths. She could even see long, snow-white worms wiggling. Goo poison one? Big Dipper shouted, his expression changing drastically. Goo poison? Yi Wanwan's lips twitched slightly. Goo poison? Why don't you say you're ambushed by Iron Man, Spider-Man, or Batman? It's goo poison indeed. Taoist devotee and brick-moving foreigner turned to each other in astonishment. The Yuan family also knew about goo poison. On their team, the only one with a mastery in goo poison was Deadman, but Deadman wasn't there right now. If it's truly goo poison, it's a bit tricky, Taoist devotee said. Yi Wanwan was startled when she saw Taoist devotee's reaction. Could it be that goo poison really existed in this world? Yi Wanwan originally wanted to help the Fearless Alliance members up, but was pulled back by Taoist devotee. He shook his head at her. Soon, the sound of howling disappeared, and the Fearless Alliance members turned ghastly pale and reached the end of their lives. This scene caused Yi Wanwan's mind to turn into an utter mess. She'd never seen such an incredulous scene in her whole life. Yi Wanwan was about to speak when she felt a weird itching on her neck, as though ants were crawling over her skin. Chapter 1445. Yi Wanwan reflexively wanted to scratch her neck, but Taoist devotee's expression shifted, and he shouted, "Don't move." As fast as lightning, Taoist devotee flicked his finger and flung away the tiny scorpion-like insect that was tightly latching onto Yi Wanwan's neck. This is a goo insect. Brick-moving foreigner looked astonished. There were people who were well-versed in the goo poison practice in the independent state, but practitioners who had such mastery. Goo insect. Yi Wanwan was shocked and incredulous. Could it be that goo really existed in this world? Yi Wanwan sent Taoist devotee a look with her eyes and led Taoist devotee into her car. What is it, boss? Famous. Taoist devotee looked perplexed. What's the deal with goo poison? Don't tell me it really exists. Yi Wanwan was brimming with curiosity. Taoist devotee nodded confidently. Boss Famous, it exists of course, but you might not know about it. The color drained out of Yi Wanwan's face with a swish. Something so mystical really existed? She was a young person living in the 21st century who believed in the philosophy of materialism. Boss Famous should know about the Miao tribe, right? Taoist devotee asked. Yi Wanwan nodded. Who doesn't know about them? But didn't the Miao tribe open up to the public? We can even travel there and sightsee now. There isn't anything about the goo technique there. Boss Famous, you only know part of it. You don't know the rest. Taoist devotee looked at Yi Wanwan and solemnly said, the Miao tribe is divided into red Miao, white Miao, cyan Miao, flower Miao, and blue Miao branches. Those branches are open to the public nowadays. There's still one branch of the Miao tribe that's the most mysterious branch. They're the goo Miao, the goo Miaos. Yi Wanwan was taken back. That's right. Taoist devotee nodded and said, the goo Miao is the most mysterious and they're experts in the goo technique. The only ones who know the goo technique in the entire Miao tribe are the members of the goo Miao branch. Is there a scientific basis for this? Yi Wanwan didn't believe in the supernatural so easily. It's hard to say. The goo Miao branch isn't open to the public and lives completely secluded from the world. You couldn't research them even if you wanted to, Taoist devotee explained. You're joking, right? How about nurturing imps? Are they real too? Yi Wanwan had a deep frown. Now that's an exaggeration. Those kinds of goo are legends and unrealistic. Goo really exists, but nurturing imps are all rubbish. Taoist devotee shook his head. Yi Wanwan heard about the goo Miao while she was in China. People said the goo Miao lived a life that was completely secluded from the world, not participating in the outside world at all, and they were masters of the goo technique. Yi Wanwan never took them seriously when she read about this, but she didn't expect something like goo to really exist in this world. She was stunned, especially since she witnessed it for herself today. Based on what Taoist devotees said, goo wasn't a supernatural far-fetched tale. It truly existed. However, the world was too large, and the goo Miao branch was secluded from the world. So many people never came into contact with it. Plus, it sounded extremely mystical, so who would believe it? However, this kind of thing really existed. For example, the medical practices of Miao medicine and Zong medicine were extremely unique, and most people couldn't understand it. But they were oddly effective. Is there a way to ward off goo insects? Yi Wanwan asked. Taoist devotee thought about it before promptly shaking his head. He only had surface knowledge about the goo poison and didn't have a thorough understanding of it. It was Dead Man who was more familiar with this subject. Soon, Yi Wanwan exited the car and turned to the members of the Fearless Alliance, ordering, "There are goo insects here. Let's retreat for now." Chapter 1446, everyone relaxed when they heard Yi Wanwan's words. Goo had always been mysterious to people, and anyone would fear the unknown. Yi Wanwan soon led everyone to retreat dozen or so kilometers back, the location of the branch that was destroyed by the Yuan family. The branch here was the Wu family, a family that had pledged allegiance to the Fearless Alliance for 7 or 8 years already and had decent power in the Northern District. However, they had a conflict of interest with the Yuan family, and the Yuan family relied on the fact that they had Azura's backing, thus destroying the Wu family. The place ahead of them was a ruined courtyard. The patriarch of the Wu family was about 50 or so years old. The current state of the estate was no match for its previous splendor. Hundreds of members of the Wu family were either dead or injured, and Patriarch Wu's eldest son died in battle. Currently, Patriarch Wu was sitting in the main hall, his hair grizzled and his eyes brimming with sorrow. Patriarch, let's go. Otherwise, when the Yuan family launches the second round of attacks, a young man standing next to Patriarch Wu persuaded. I've lived here for decades. I won't abandon it, Patriarch Wu said. The young man sighed softly. He was originally hoping for the Fearless Alliance to stick up for the Wu family, but it looked impossible now. The Fearless Alliance's headquarters was rather far from here, and the Yuan family had Azura's backing. So why would the Fearless Alliance stick up for the mere Wu family? Patriarch, could it be that you're still hoping for the Fearless Alliance to come? The young man sighed again. Before Patriarch Wu could reply, mocking shouts and curses were heard outside the door. The young man's face shifted drastically, and he hastily looked outside. Patriarch, an elder from the Yuan family, is here with people. The young man looked panicked. The Wu family was nearly exhausted of all fighting power and had more than 200 people gravely injured who were being treated right now. This time, Patriarch Wu snorted and drew a long saber before striding outside. Outside, Elder Yuan was standing at the head of a group of elites from the Yuan family. When he saw Patriarch Wu coming out of the room by himself, he broke into loud guffaws. Old thing, you actually didn't run. What a backbone you have. You're really facing death head-on. Patriarch Wu's expression chilled. Let's fight if we must. Why must we waste our words here? Ha, old thing. You can't possibly still be wishfully dreaming of the Fearless Alliance to come and save you, right? It's time for you to wake up. Elder Yuan snorted and sent his subordinates a look. Kill. Don't spare a single person. Dozens of elites from the Yuan family immediately charged toward Patriarch Wu. Patriarch Wu merely raised his sword and went on the offensive instead of retreating. There wasn't a trace of fear in his eyes. Every place the long saber reached, a fresh life from the Yuan family was sliced away. However, since the beginning of time, two fists couldn't defeat four hands, especially since Patriarch Wu was old in years already. Moments later, Patriarch Wu was a bit exhausted already and had obtained a few wounds on his body. Bang! Elder Yuan sent Patriarch Wu crashing to the ground with a kick. Ha, old thing, give up already. There's no way the Fearless Alliance would care about ants like you. Elder Yuan was vibrating with arrogance and darkly proclaimed, even if the Fearless Alliance came here, they'd merely die in our hands. Just as Elder Yuan finished speaking, a bone-chilling chuckle was heard from behind him. Your Yuan family is rather gutsy. We die in your hands? Huh? Dozens of Fearless Alliance members rushed into the courtyard. Chapter 1447. 1447 Elder Yuan was startled when he saw the leading 7-star and Big Dipper, while disbelief surfaced in Patriarch Wu's eyes. Lord 7. Lord Big. Patriarch Wu was astonished. The Fearless Alliance really came? He knew the Fearless Alliance absolutely wouldn't abandon the Wu family. Big Dipper? 7-star? Elder Yuan stared at Big Dipper and 7-star with his brows knitted close together. These two people weren't easy to handle. Elder Yuan never expected the Fearless Alliance to really come to the Northern District and stick up for the Wu family. 7-star and Big Dipper didn't speak and merely receded to the side. A woman in tight-fitting black clothes stood behind them. The woman was stunningly beautiful and wore a faint, nonchalant smile on her lips. Elder Yuan was further mystified when he saw the woman in black. Judging from 7-star and Big Dipper's expressions, could it be that this woman had a higher position than them in the Fearless Alliance? Patriarch Wu was also puzzled. The fact that 7-star and Big Dipper would come to the Wu estate and back up the Wu family was incredulous already. But did this woman have a higher position than Big Dipper and 7-star in the Fearless Alliance? How could that be possible? May I ask what your identity and level are in the Fearless Alliance, esteemed miss? Patriarch Wu asked Yi Wan with caution on his face. Big Dipper pursed his lips and turned to Patriarch Wu. She's special level. Special level. Patriarch Wu and the people from the Yuan family were all taken back. Special level in the Fearless Alliance. Special level was mightier than the heavens. The only one who could be considered as special level in the entire Fearless Alliance was the president of the Fearless Alliance, Bro Flattop. Patriarch Wu and the young man next to him both shuddered and stared at Yi Wanwan with disbelief. President. Fearless? The youth next to Patriarch Wu was overwhelmed with shock. How could this be? Your President Bai? Patriarch Wu couldn't be any more shocked. It's improper to shout like this in front of the president. Big Dipper rebuked. When Patriarch Wu heard Big Dipper personally reveal the woman in black before him was Bro Flattop, he was stunned in place. Elder Yuan and the elites from the Yuan family were also incredulous. How could this be possible? Bro Flattop, the president of the Fearless Alliance, appeared in person for the mere Wu family. President, the Yuan family, is bullying our Wu family because we don't have anyone. Patriarch Wu accused as he knelt in front of Yi Wanwan and pointed at Elder Yuan and his group. Yi Wanwan's eyes swept over the Yuan family, and she coldly said, "A blood debt will be paid by blood." As Yi Wanwan's last word dropped, 7-Star and Big Dipper lunged toward Elder Yuan, while the remaining elite members of the Fearless Alliance all charged toward the people from the Yuan family. Although Elder Yuan was strong, he was no match for 7-Star and Big Dipper on their own, let alone a team-up between Big Dipper and 7-Star. A few breaths later, the estate erupted into chaos, the endless sounds of fighting and shouting traveling to any listener's ears. Patriarch Wu also picked up his long saber again and joined the fight. "Attack already!" Yi Wanwan turned to Taoist devotee and brick-moving foreigner, who were standing next to her like an emperor's father. She was dumbfounded. What were these two idiots doing? Chapter 1448, We Can't. We have to protect you and can't stray a single step from your side. That's our responsibility. Taoist devotee hastily said. Right. He's right. Brick-moving foreigner nodded vehemently. Yi Wanwan, just admit you're lazy. Do you have to use such an eccentric excuse? Did I hire 2 masters instead? However, this fight began quickly and ended quickly. Brick-moving foreigner and Taoist devotee didn't need to join the fight. Elder Yuan was beaten to death by Big Dipper and 7-Star. The remaining members of the Yuan family also suffered serious mortalities and injuries. A handful of them were kneeling on the ground with their hands clutching their heads, not daring to resist at all. They were facing elite experts of the Fearless Alliance. "Lock these little bastards up," Big Dipper directed as he pointed at the young martial artist next to Patriarch Wu. "Okay." The youth became energized immediately and gave the surrendered martial artist from the Yuan family a round of fierce kicking before locking them up in the Wu family's dungeon. "Thank you, President." Patriarch Wu knelt on the ground and shouted toward Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan smiled aloofly and said, "Since the Wu family is the subordinate power of the Fearless Alliance, how could we allow other people to bully you?" Patriarch Wu looked extremely emotional, overwhelmed by the honor of the towering president of the Fearless Alliance, Bro Flattop, speaking to him so amiably. More than that, she even stuck up for the Wu family personally. "Patriarch Wu, the only way to the Yuan residence has been poisoned by goo. Are there any other paths nearby?" Yi Wanwan asked Patriarch Wu. Patriarch Wu nodded. "Don't worry, President. We have a waterway that can directly reach the Yuan residence, and I have several boats. However, since the Yuan family poisoned the land route, they must have installed some kind of defense there too. Don't worry about it. Just lead us there," Yi Wanwan said. "Yes." Patriarch Wu nodded frantically and stood up. Taking advantage of the night, Yi Wanwan and her company separated into groups, and each group boarded a boat and arrived near the Yuan residence. However, the Yuan residence was currently under tight security. Yi Wanwan furrowed her brows. As people said, destroy the leader and the gang will collapse. However, it wasn't realistic for so many of them to sneak into the Yuan residence without notice. Yi Wanwan turned to brick-moving foreigner and Taoist devotee. These two idiots were finally useful. "The 3 of us will sneak inside," Yi Wanwan told the 2 of them. President, us two should keep watch instead, Taoist devotee said. However, Yuanwan grabbed Taoist devotee by his ear as soon as he finished speaking. Keep watch your ass? Did I spend so much money to hire you to have you keep watch? Taoist devotee and brick-moving foreigner had no choice but to follow Yi Wanwan and sneak inside the Yuan residence. With their martial arts skills, they were able to stay completely under the radar and didn't alert any of the tight security around them. Yi Wanwan inwardly snorted. With help from brick-moving foreigner and Taoist devotee, it shouldn't be any problem to capture the patriarch of the Yuan family. Their strength was Super S level, and not many people in the independent state were a match for them. The interior of the Yuan residence was encased in darkness, and only the study was lit. The trio silently walked to the door of the study and shifted their ears to the door. There were people speaking. Not only that, but this voice sounded familiar to Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan didn't think too much about it, though. She heard someone call Patriarch Yuan inside the study, and Patriarch Yuan replied. In other words, Patriarch Yuan was inside this study. Yi Wanwan straightened her body and kicked the door to the study open. Freaking dead man, what kind of damn goo did you use? You even said nothing would go wrong, but they're on our doorsteps now. A flowery-dressed man inside the room reprimanded an iceberg-like man who carried a coffin on his back. Iceberg man merely glanced at the other man and didn't say anything. At this time, Yi Wanwan, Taoist devotee, and Little Sweetie had charged inside the room, and the two parties entered fighting stances. When the two parties saw each other a second later, they were taken back. Yi Wanwan was also stupefied. Shit. Spray of flowers and dead man, aka Iceberg Man. Why are these two at the Yuan residence? Chapter 1449. Inside the Yuan study. The five people stared at each other, bewildered. It was as though time had stopped, the study under a blanket of silence. Yi Wanwan first glanced at the ostentatious spray of flowers, then examined Iceberg Man behind him. She was dumbfounded, her lips twitching slightly. No wonder nameless Nye said spray of flowers and dead man weren't available, because they went out on a mission when she wanted to hire them. They did go on a mission indeed. They accepted the Yuan family's mission and feasted on the wage from both sides. Yi Wanwan finally understood where the goo poison on the necessary road to the Yuan residence came from. Taoist devotee previously said that only Dead Man was a master of the goo technique out of their group. Who would have known that the goo insects on this road were planted by Dead Man? Moreover, because of the goo technique, she lost many brothers from the Fearless Alliance. An elderly man around 40 or 50 years old and luxuriously dressed stood next to spray of flowers and Iceberg Man. He had to be the patriarch of the Yuan family. Patriarch Yuan wore a deep frown as he looked at Yi Wanwan and her group. He had received news that there was a high possibility the Fearless Alliance would come and exact revenge. So he hired two top mercenary experts, and one of the mercenaries planted goo insects on the mandatory road to the Yuan residence. How did these people pass that road and arrive at the Yuan residence? Experts, hurry and protect me. Patriarch Yuan looked at spray of flowers and Iceberg Man instantly and hastily shouted, "Kill them all." However, spray of flowers and Iceberg Man didn't reply. They couldn't figure out why Little Sweetie and Taoist devotee were here. Well, Taoist devotee pointed at spray of flowers and Iceberg Man and reproached coldly, "The two of you actually accepted private work behind Little Sweetie and my back. Spray of flowers. Iceberg Man." Humph. Spray of flowers, who recovered his wits, snorted and glanced at Taoist devotee and brick-moving foreigner. "How dare you admonish us? Didn't you do also accepted private work behind my husband and my back?" Spray of flowers wrapped his arm around Iceberg Man's shoulder. "Am I right, husband?" However, Iceberg Man coolly glanced at spray of flowers, seemingly unwanting to speak. "Husband said that it's you two shameless people who accepted private work yourself, so you have no right to say anything to us." "Pa!" Spray of flowers shouted at Taoist devotee and Little Sweetie. Yi Wanwan stared at spray of flowers, rendered speechless. Slash dead man. Hasn't even opened his mouth once this whole time. Are you playing mind reading? Slash, our mission was accepted by Captain. Taoist devotee straightened his back. Right. He's right. Brick-moving foreigner nodded vehemently. TCH, you damn quack, are trying to scare me? Spray of Flowers was full of disdain. Our mission was also approved by Captain. This scene turned extremely embarrassing. Yi Wanwan's lips turned up with an awkward but courteous smile as she thought. Fuck you, nameless nya. Forget it. Since it's like that, let's go, Taoist devotee said to Brick-moving foreigner. Brick-moving foreigner nodded frantically. It was too hot outside, and the Yuan residents didn't even have the AC turned on. He wanted to go home and eat some watermelon while enjoying the AC. Chapter 1450. 1450. Seeing that Taoist devotee and brick-moving foreigner were about to leave, Yuan instantly blocked their paths. She spent money to hire them, but they wanted to run away without doing anything. Where are you going? Yuan asked while staring at them. Going home to eat shit, brick-moving foreigner answered. Fine, Yuan. Don't forget what you came here for. You two were hired by me with hard money from that bastard. Nameless Nya. Yet you want to run away without doing any work. See if I'll give you a bad 1-star rating. Yuan threatened. Taoist devotee and brick-moving foreigner were startled, their expressions shifting instantly. Getting a bad rating wasn't a joke. Captain said that anyone who got a bad rating from their customers would lose a layer of skin. Taoist devotee looked at Yuan and clapped his chest as he said, Boss famous, don't worry. Since we got gifts from you, since we got money from you, you should clear your troubles for you. We're mercenaries with rigid principles. We're professional employees. Right. He's right. We're professionals. Brick-moving foreigner clapped his hands in agreement and turned to Spray of Flowers and Iceberg Man with a ferocious expression. He shouted loudly, I'm the one who opened this mountain and planted this forest. Give me your head if you want to pass through this road. Iceberg Man. Huh? What? Even Yi Wanwan was dumbfounded. What's wrong with brick-moving foreigner? Did he have a brain spasm? We came to be abductors, not bandits. Heavens, I need a bodhisattva to come and save me. Taoist devotee looked a bit embarrassed and quietly explained to Yuan, back in China, brick-moving foreigner watched too much period dramas and thinks it's more imposing to speak like this. He's talented at using his imposing aura to crush his opponents. Yuan's lips twitched slightly. Why were these people more unreliable than Curly and his group from the Star Destroyer mercenary team? If she knew this, she would have just hired Curly's team instead. Humph. Before Yi Wanwan could speak, Patriarch Yuan snorted and stared at Yuan. Little miss, it appears you hired 2 mercenaries to target me. Which Dao are you from? Yuan glanced at Patriarch Yuan. Taekwondo, Jeet Kune Do, Karate, and the Tao of the Starry Sky. Patriarch Yuan grew enraged. Little bastard, you're playing me? His figure flashed, and his palm shot toward Yuan. Scram! Taoist devotee retaliated with a finger and forced Patriarch Yuan to retreat with the mere force of his finger. Did you ask me before you tried to attack my employer? Taoist devotee snorted. Hey, you damn quack. Your employer is an employer, but my employer isn't an employer. Spray of Flowers protected Patriarch Yuan behind him and promptly cursed at Taoist devotee while pointing at him. Blah! You damn ladyboy. As they say, there's no such thing as fathers and sons on the battlefield. Attack! Taoist devotee snorted. There aren't fathers and sons on the battlefield? Spray of Flowers was dumbstruck. What do you mean? Lady boy, he's saying he's your father. Brick-moving foreigner answered. Spray of Flowers was angered and looked at Iceberg Man, husband. The damn quack said he's our father. Poison him to death with goo. However, Iceberg Man merely yawned and naturally sat down on the ground. A few breaths later, he went from sitting to lying, looking as if he became one with the floor without seeming out of place. Chapter 1451, Move Aside. We were hired by Boss Famous and will capture the old fart, Patriarch Yuan, tonight. Taoist devotee spoke with a forceful tone. Only then did Yi Wanwan nod with consolation in her heart. They were finally acting properly. Blah, you damn quack. Since it's like that, we'll each serve our own masters and show off our true strength. Spray of Flowers declared. Then Spray of Flowers attacked Taoist devotee's chest with his palm. You damn lady boy, you dare to touch my chest? Taoist devotee punched Spray of Flowers' face as he said that. Spray of Flowers screeched. I was just fooling around with you. But you seriously attacked me? You messed up the makeup I spent hours on. Your mother, is going to fight to the death with you. In an instant, Taoist devotee and Spray of Flowers tumbled together, and all the chairs, desks, and stools inside the study were crushed and sent flying by them. Upon seeing Spray of Flowers and Taoist devotee dueling it out, brick-moving foreigner pointed at Iceberg Man, who was lying on the floor, and shouted, "Come, let's fight. Come here, you." Iceberg Man merely adjusted his sleeping position and didn't seem interested in getting up. Seeing that, brick-moving foreigner continued to egg on. Are you afraid of me? Why don't you pretend to be dead? Why don't you get up if you're so capable? Iceberg Man slowly stood up from the floor. Before brick-moving foreigner could do anything, though, Iceberg Man suddenly pushed open the lid of his coffin and stepped into the coffin under everyone's eyes. A second later, a bang was heard, and the coffin lid closed heavily. Yuan, brick-moving foreigner, Boss Famous, this isn't my fault. You can't give me a bad rating for this. Brick-moving foreigner promptly turned around and looked at Yi Wanwan with a bright, ingratiating grin. Yi Wanwan wanted to say something, but couldn't figure out anything to say. On the other hand, Spray of Flowers didn't seem to be a match for Taoist devotee and was suffering a little. Spray of Flowers backed down and opened Iceberg Man's coffin. He looked at the placid Iceberg Man inside the coffin and said angrily, "Husband, help me fight him. He's serious." Iceberg Man yawned and disdainfully looked at Spray of Flowers before shaking his head. Yi Wanwan felt her head pound as she watched this scene. How long would this continue if they kept fighting like this? Dawn was about to come. Spray of Flowers, dead man. I'll double however much money Patriarch Yuan gave you. Come and help me. Yi Wanwan said. The originally furious or sleepy duo turned energized within seconds of hearing that, and their eyes brightened. Sister Famous Yi, look at what you're saying. It's so vulgar to mention money with our relationship. My husband and I will definitely help you. Right, husband? Spray of Flowers asked Iceberg Man, who finally sat up. Iceberg Man nodded eagerly. Patriarch Yuan jolted and fried upon seeing this. Everything would go downhill if these two deserted him. I'll triple however much this woman gives. Patriarch Yuan hastily said. Sister Famous Yi, even though we have a good relationship, we're professional mercenaries with principles. Since we were hired by Boss Yuan, we must serve him single-heartedly. How can we jump ships suddenly? We can't do that. It'd seriously violate the mercenary principles. I'm sorry, your mother. I can't do it. Spray of Flowers said lamentably. Chapter 1452, I'll pay quadruple. Yi Wanwan snorted. Boss Famous, with our relationship and your relationship with Captain, principles are bullshit. We're close like brothers from the same mom. We'll definitely help you. Spray of Flowers looked at Yi Wanwan with a solemn expression. Even Iceberg Man nodded on a rare occasion. I'll pay tenfold. Patriarch Yuan shouted angrily. Tenfold. Spray of Flowers swallowed his spit. Boss Famous, sorry. We're principled mercenaries and can't be tempted by money. Yuan nodded. I was planning to pay 100 million. Since he's paying tenfold, that's 1 billion, and it's 2 billion for 2 people. You should ask him for money first. 1 billion? Taoist devotee turned to Patriarch Yuan in surprise. Boss Yuan, I admire your character a lot, so little sweetie and I plan to jump to your side too. Let's settle the bill first. You definitely can't pay in cash, so let's pay by card. Taoist devotee took out a card machine from somewhere. 4 billion? What kind of insane joke are you telling? Patriarch Yuan's expression shifted. He hadn't seen 4 billion in his whole life, let alone paying 4 billion. How many Yuan families could he buy with 4 billion? This woman did this on purpose. Since she said she'll pay 1 billion fine, ask her for money first. Patriarch Yuan wasn't a fool and exposed the key point instantly. Taoist devotee, spray of flowers, and their group turned to Yuan in the next second. Yuan said, "Do you think my fearless alliance doesn't have this tiny amount of money? It's just 4 billion. Tomorrow, go to the Fearless Alliance's finance department to retrieve your money." Yuan smiled secretly. The 4 billion is real, but I didn't specify 4 billion in which currency. If it's just 4 billion in some small country's currency, it'd just be $40,000, which would be $10,000 for each person. Spray of Flowers and Iceberg Man knew Yuan had become the president of the Fearless Alliance. Spray of Flowers walked to Yuan and grasped her hand. "Ah, sister, your hand is turning tenderer. It's about to match this sister's hand. Look at how smooth it is. It'll make people jealous. Sister, we shouldn't mention money with our relationship. Even if you give me $10,000, I'll definitely help you, my good sister, let alone 1 billion. He turned to Taoist devotee and brick-moving foreigner and angrily said, "What are you standing around for? Hurry and capture this old thing already. Could it be that you're waiting for my good sister to do it herself? You trash." Upon watching Spray of Flowers, who shifted faces faster than the sky shifted the weather, Taoist devotee and brick-moving foreigner looked at each other blankly. They both spat at Spray of Flowers inwardly before acting and captured the dumbfounded patriarch of the Yuan family. Then they threw him on the bed with his arms tied behind his back and rope looped around his neck. You two are violating the Mercenary Guild's rules. I'm going to report you to the Mercenary Guild." Patriarch Yuan shouted, enraged. "Blah! You shameless old geezer. Look at how old and ugly you are. Yet you still recruit mercenaries like other people. And you want to report us? You need to stay alive before you can report us." Spray of Flowers chortled while staring at the tied-up Patriarch Yuan. Iceberg Man took out something from his coffin and slapped it onto Patriarch Yuan. Instantly, it was like Patriarch Yuan turned mute and he couldn't speak anymore. Chapter 1453. 1453 Yuan watched how a casual slap from Iceberg Man prohibited Patriarch Yuan from speaking immediately and caused his face to swell red. "This is goo." Yuan asked Iceberg Man. Iceberg Man nodded lightly. Yuan was at a loss of words. In all the years she had lived, this was her first time seeing someone using something as mystical as goo. "Boss, Patriarch Yuan is bound. What's our next step?" Spray of Flowers asked with an ingratiating smile next to Yuan. Yuan thought for a moment, but before she could speak, rhythmic marching could be heard outside the door. The members of the Yuan family had surrounded the study layer by layer. To the people inside, listen up. We've already informed Azura and Lord Azura. If you don't want to die, immediately bring out our patriarch safely. An elderly man shouted angrily outside the study. Everyone from the Yuan family was alerted due to the large commotion inside the study, but their patriarch was restrained right now, so they didn't dare to rashly charge into the study. "Azura." Spray of Flowers was startled briefly before saying with a smile, "Lord Azura is a difficult opponent, and they have the advantage in numbers. We should flee now, or else we'll be in deep trouble when Azura's people get here." "That's true. Most importantly, Captain doesn't have any animosities with Azura, so it wouldn't be good if we have any direct conflicts. How about we retreat?" Taoist devotee also bobbed his head in agreement. Their gaze landed on Yuan. Yuan was this group's money bag, so they had to listen to her. Yuan was about to say something when she heard the sound of rope ripping from the bed. At the same time, Patriarch Yuan, who had struggled up from his binding, leaped up from the bed and kicked open the coffin near Iceberg Man before they realized what was happening. Patriarch Yuan had seen Iceberg Man retrieve his goo insect from the coffin, so he knew this mercenary, who was a goo expert, stored his goo insects inside his coffin. Only then did Spray of Flowers and Taoist devotee regain their wits. They were scared witless when they saw Patriarch Yuan reaching into the coffin. Dead man's goo was all stored inside that coffin. Patriarch Yuan released a tragic laugh and scooped up a handful of unknown goo with both hands before he was about to throw it at Yuan and her group. Spray of Flowers and his teammates became frightened and retreated backward reflexively. What would happen to them if they were hit? However, Patriarch Yuan was smart. His actions were merely a feint, and he waited until they stopped moving before throwing the goo toward Yuan. Yuan was caught off guard and felt her body turn numb, as though thousands of ants were crawling over her. Patriarch Yuan's smile froze suddenly. He didn't expect a number of goo insects to burrow into his body while he picked them up. He felt like they were nibbling everything inside his body. A few breaths later, Patriarch Yuan collapsed onto the floor like a slab of mud, and oxygen flowed out of him as he turned into a corpse. Meanwhile, Yuan had a deep frown on her face. Her body felt like an inferno was raging through it, and every inch of skin was unbearably itchy and bright red. At the same time, upon seeing Yuan surrounded by the Yuan family, Big Dipper and Seven Star led the elites from the Fearless Alliance inside urgently and killed their way through to create an opening. Chapter 1454. When Big Dipper and Seven Star charged into the study and saw Yuan looking like that, they were shocked. "Sisphone, what happened to you?" "Sisphone, don't scare me," Big Dipper cried out with a panicked expression as he stared at Yuan. "Damn, don't tell me Boss Famous was freaking poisoned by the mutually in love goo," Taoist devotee exclaimed, dumbfounded as he looked at Yuan. Iceberg Man nodded, providing affirmation. "It really was mutually in love goo." Spray of Flowers clicked his tongue. Anxiety flickered through Seven Star's face as he hastily asked, "What's mutually in love goo?" Yuan touched the itchy spot on her body and looked at Spray of Flowers too. "Mutually in love? Why did I freaking get shot even though I was lying down?" Who would have expected this trouble to arise when everything was wrapping up? However, this goo poison's name sounded rather romantic. It couldn't be some fatal goo, right? Ahem, well, the mutually in love goo, its victims have to do those shy things with the person they like. Otherwise, they'll die. And they'll die very miserably. Blood flowing out of all their crevices. Ulcers covering their mouths. They'll have a tragic death. Taoist devotee explained. Doing shy things with the person they like. Big Dipper looked perplexed. What are shy things? When Big Dipper said that, the 5 other people, including Seven Star, all looked at him like he was an idiot. It is the crucial step before your dad and mom produce you. Do you understand now? Brick-moving foreigner explained in a friendly manner. Big Dipper nodded, finally understanding the meaning of shy things. However, why did this explanation sound so unsatisfying? It can be resolved as long as she does that thing? Seven Star looked a bit awkward as he asked with a light cough. In theory, that's the antidote to this goo. Spray of Flowers shrugged with a nod. So this goo isn't considered some fatal goo and is fairly easy to counteract. Don't worry. Yuan wore a complicated expression. Wait, you said it has to be done with someone I like to counteract the goo? Spray of Flowers nodded. That's right. You can take care of it through a bang with someone you like. So this goo poison is utterly useless. Yuan wanted to choke Spray of Flowers to death as she listened to his relaxed tone. Fuck. The one I like? I have no idea where the one I like is. Who should I get to relieve the poison? Isn't this telling me to wait for death? Yuan forcefully endured the increasingly intense itching inside of her and took a deep breath before asking, "Is there a time limit?" Spray of Flowers rubbed his chin and answered, 12 hours. It should be enough for you to find dozens of people. Yuan, 12 hours. Yuan looked at Iceberg Man annoyed. Can I freaking ask, Knight Errant, why did you create such an odd goo poison? Is there a meaning behind it? Iceberg Man, Spray of Flowers giggled. My husband said this mutually in love goo is a mutation of the love goo. It can be considered a research failure and defective product of the love goo. So what's the love goo? But Yuan wasn't in the mood to ask. She urgently pressed. Is there another method besides the solution you mentioned? Since he's the one who made the poison, he must have a way to relieve it, right? Chapter 1455 Spray of Flowers answered earnestly. My husband said this goo is a defective failure, so even he can't resolve it. This is the only method. Yuan. Doesn't that mean I'm dead for sure? Unless I can find Siyin within 12 hours. Yuan relaxed slightly as she thought about that. Although everything proved Siyin master memory and he stripped her of her freedom, she subconsciously knew the only person she would choose was still him. If she really had to randomly find someone to remedy her poison, she'd face death without a doubt based on the rule that she had to do it with someone she liked. Isn't that easy? Big Dipper clapped his chest and confidently said, Sis Fong, what kind do you like? I'll find them for you. Do you like seductively beautiful men, mature uncles, wolf dog types, or fresh meat? Yuan, whose consciousness was gradually turning hazy, darkly glanced at Big Dipper for mentioning the topic she wanted to avoid. You don't like any of them? Big Dipper scratched his head and mumbled, Sis Fong, you're about to die. Why are you still being picky? Forget it. I'll definitely find you whatever type you like. Upon receiving a lack of response from Yuan, Big Dipper briskly decided to make a judgment himself and immediately ordered people to start looking for men. Since you're fine, we'll leave now. Boss, bye. Hurry and find someone to remove the goo. Also, remember to send the money to our captain's account, okay? Spray of Flowers said cheerfully. Yuan was suffering so much that cold sweat drenched her forehead. Send money your ass? Fine. This is called fine. Are there worse troublemakers than them? They actually left just like that. Soon after the four of them left, 7 Star swiftly ordered his people to seize control of the Yuan residence and dispersed unnecessary personnel. A moment later, a subordinate under Big Dipper's orders brought a dozen or so men into the study. Amongst these dozen or so men, there was the refined and gentle type, the abstinent and cold type, and the energetic and cute type. Every man had a different aura and style. Their only commonality was their outstanding looks. The leading man, who resembled a manager, said ingratiatingly, Lord Big, I've brought all the people you wanted. What do you think? They're the most outstanding men in our store. I guarantee you'll be satisfied. Big Dipper examined the men and nodded while rubbing his chin. He led them to Yuan. Sis Fong, take a look. We can keep whoever you like. 7 Star glanced at the dozen or so men and furrowed his brows minutely, but didn't say anything. When these men discovered they were coming to see President Fearless this time, they were all terrified out of their minds and thought they were going to die for sure. However, when they saw the girl in front of them whose fair face was paired with shimmering eyes, their eyes brightened. They didn't expect the infamous bro flat top to be such a beauty. The effect inside Yuan's body grew more intense. She felt like her bones were being gnawed on by thousands of insects and ants. As she panted rapidly, her eyes severely swept over those men. Eyesores, the manager shuddered in fright. Spare us, President. These are truly top-quality goods from our store. We absolutely wouldn't dare to deceive you. Aren't bro flat top standards too high? She thinks they're still eyesores, considering their looks and quality. What kind of celestial immortal does she want? Chapter 1456 Big Dipper looked miserable. Sis Fong, I think they're quite decent already. How about you put up with them for your life? Yuan was suffering terribly, and her whole body was enveloped in a turmoil. When she heard that, she brusquely snapped. Do them yourself if you think they're good. Big Dipper choked. He hastily waved his hand to tell the manager to take everyone away upon seeing Yuan getting angry. After everyone left, Big Dipper was distraught with frustration at Yuan's increasing torment. Sis Fong, if you really don't like those people, how about I sacrifice myself? Yuan nearly spat out blood from this idiot. Scram! All right. Big Dipper briskly bowed and slipped outside in fright, closing the door with a swish. Outside the door, Big Dipper and 7 Stars started conversing in anguish. What should we do? Sis Fong doesn't like a single one of them. Sis Fong even dislikes someone with my looks. What in the world does she want? Big Dipper sighed in despair. 7 Stars solemnly said, We still have time. So tell them to keep looking and call over all the good-looking men in the alliance. We have no other choice. There has to be one that Sis Phone will take a liking to. 7-star and Big Dipper diverge into two directions and secretly summon two batches of decent-looking men to the Yuan residence. In the end, Yuan still didn't take a liking to a single one of them. Big Dipper had a pounding headache. Can't we just randomly pick one? There isn't much time left. If we keep delaying it, Sis Phone will seriously die. 7-star said gravely, we can't. As that person said, this goo is called the mutually in love goo, so as to be a man that Sis Phone likes. Otherwise, the result will be the same. She would die of bleeding from all crevices. Damn, why is this so troublesome? Big Dipper raced toward Yuan. Sis Phone, just what kind do you like? Tell me something specific. Yuan's vision was turning increasingly blurry, and she was slowly losing control of her consciousness. There was only one face dominating every scene in her mind. Heh, I didn't expect to die from such an absurd cause before I found who I'm looking for, before I uncovered the whole truth. Big Dipper thought of something, and his expression shifted. He exclaimed, shit. Say, Sis Phone, you didn't take a liking to Emperor G, right? This is very difficult. I don't think I can do it. Emperor G is famous for being unattracted to women. It'd be very difficult for you to bang him. Big Dipper recalled how Yuan said at least someone on Emperor G's level back in the nightclub last time and was shocked out of his mind. Even 7-star's expression darkened. It truly wasn't possible if it was Emperor G. There were countless women who coveted Emperor G in the independent state, but not many actually dared to go after him. Yuan stepped on a chair with one foot and picked up the chilled tea on the table before splashing it on her face. After her mind cleared slightly, she glanced at the two of them and asked with raised brows, who said the one I like is Emperor G? Big Dipper instantly clutched his chest and relaxed. That's great. That's great. It's great it's not Emperor G. It's great. Who is it? A word from you, Sis Phone, and I'll definitely abduct that person for you. 7-star also nodded. Who do you want, Sis Phone? There weren't many people in the independent state they couldn't get if the president of the Fearless Alliance wanted them. It would be fine even if they forcefully abducted them. Yuan looked down before glancing at Big Dipper and 7-star. She casually tossed the teapot in her hand to the side and aloofly replied, Lord Azura. Chapter 1457 7-star. Dead silence stifled the large room after Yuan said that. Even the air seemed to stop flowing. 7-star was shocked out of his wits while Big Dipper sprained his ankle and slammed into a nearby cabinet with a bang. He grimaced in pain and looked like he'd seen a ghost. Fuck me. Sis Phone, who did you say you like? Yuan rolled her eyes. Lord Azura. What? Didn't you say you were going to help me abduct him? Big Dipper wanted a ball. Sis Phone, don't be so suicidal. You actually want to sleep with Lord Azura? Are you fucking seeking death? Last time, at Lord Azura's conference, he was merely casually joking about whether Sis Phone had a thing with Lord Azura or not. How could he have known that Sis Phone seriously coveted someone like Lord Azura? 7-star's face was also dark. He was thinking the same thing as Big Dipper on this rare occasion. Yuan nonchalantly glanced at Big Dipper from the corners of her eyes. What? Why can't I sleep with Lord Azura? Perhaps she'd already slept with him. A glint flickered in Yuan's eyes as she recalled every detail of her meeting with Lord Azura. Although everything was flawless, she decided to bet that her instincts were right. She didn't have a plan to head to the ancient Sea Clan and scout for information yet. Moreover, her current situation didn't give her any other choice, so why didn't she take a gamble? Big Dipper, help me invite Lord Azura here, Yuan ordered decisively. Big Dipper desperately wanted to give Yuan a kowtow. Sis Phone, calm down. There's a knife above the character's sex. Although he always knew Sis Phone had a facial complex and liked good-looking people, he didn't expect her to be driven by her thirst to this extent. Stop blabbering. Do what I say. I naturally have my own reasons. Yuan snapped. What reason could you have other than being blinded by your horniness? As Big Dipper roasted her, he was kicked out by her. Big Dipper and Seven Star had no choice but to leave the room with increasingly dark expressions. "This is going to cost us our lives," Big Dipper sighed in despair. "Ah, Seven Star, do you still suspect this foam of being a fake?" Seven Star hesitated for a long while before choosing silence. Based on his expression, he probably believed 99% that the woman inside was by foam. After all, they definitely couldn't find a second person in the independent state who had such a gutsy personality and thirst for good looks. As they conversed, Autumn Water rushed over. When Autumn Water saw their shaken appearances, she asked with a frown, "Seven Star, Big Dipper, what happened? Why do you look like this? Isn't the Yuan family taken care of?" She just received news that Patriarch Yuan died, and the Yuan family devolved into chaos after turning leaderless. So Seven Star took advantage of the situation and seized their headquarters. Big Dipper looked miserable and hastily explained everything to Autumn Water. "The Yuan family is taken care of, but something happened to Sis Feng." "Xiao Feng? What happened to Xiao Feng? Did she get injured?" Autumn Water looked worried. "No, she was poisoned by goo. Old geezer Yuan wanted to drag someone down before he died, so Sis Feng was caught off guard and poisoned." "What kind of goo? Is it serious?" Autumn Water pressed swiftly. "It's called mutually in love goo or something. She has to sleep with someone she likes to cure the goo." Big Dipper explained the situation briefly. Chapter 1458. After Autumn Water heard that, she laughed and relaxed. Wasn't that simple? She just had to call Emperor Ji here. However, Emperor Ji and Xiao Feng's relationship had to remain a secret, so she didn't tell Seven Star and Big Dipper who he was. She just said, "I'll find him now." Before Big Dipper could reiterate the rest of the story, Autumn Water had walked swiftly away. Who's Autumn Water looking for? Does she know it's Lord Azura who Sis Feng likes? Even now, Big Dipper's legs and insides were trembling. He mumbled, "Lord Azura is impossible, utterly impossible to obtain for the rest of her life. Unless Autumn Water can invite Emperor Ji. Perhaps there's a tiny possibility of making Sis Feng fall in love with someone else, but how could that be possible?" He was simply dreaming. These two bosses, both roads led to death. At the same time, in a large hall located in the northern part of the Yuan territory, the man sitting on the throne had a pair of bone-chilling eyes that struck fear into people. "My lord, the Fearless Alliance attacked the Yuan family, and the Yuan family is currently asking for our assistance," a white-haired elderly man said while bowing underneath the throne. The Yuan family paid quite a large tribute to Azura every month, so they naturally received protection from Azura. Now, a faction was attacking the Yuan family. It was the same as mercilessly slapping Azura's face. A moment later, the man slowly stood up from his throne. His eyes, unfathomable like the stars, emitted an indescribable icy glint. No need to pay attention to them. The red-haired man, standing to the side, Jiang Yin, shifted his expression and volunteered himself of his own accord. "My lord, you have to attend to thousands of affairs every day, so we shouldn't trouble you with such a trivial matter. Please allow this subordinate to handle this matter. The Fearless Alliance has been acting increasingly arrogant these days. We absolutely can't allow them to run rampant any longer." Even if Lord Azura found it beneath his dignity to attack the Fearless Alliance, they couldn't allow continuous provocation from the Fearless Alliance to slide by like this. Jiang Yin was about to continue persuading Lord Azura when Lin Ke suddenly burst in like a gale of wind and rushed forward with a fiery expression. He covered Si Yin's ears and said, Ninth brother, I just heard a piece of shocking news." The man wore an indifferent expression, evidently uninterested in Lin Ke's gossip. Lin Ke turned urgent and hastily whispered, "After the Fearless Alliance took over the Yuan family's headquarters, Big Dipper and Seven Stars suddenly secretly searched for a bunch of young and handsome pretty boys and fresh meat and brought them into the Yuan residence." Si Yin's expression finally shifted minutely, and he spared Lin Ke a glance. Upon seeing this, Lin Ke quickly continued, "To help you keep watch on that girl, I looked into it. Ninth brother, do you know what I discovered?" Yuan was accidentally poisoned by goo during the fight with the Yuan family. What did you say? Dark clouds instantly gathered on Si Yihan's icy face. However, what did Wan being poisoned have to do with her subordinates urgently scouting young men? Lin Ke cautiously observed Si Yihan's expression as he said with trepidation, according to a reliable news source, that goo poison is called mutually in love goo. The poison victim must mate with another man or woman to relieve the poison. Otherwise, their mouths and tongues would get ulcers, and they'll die by bleeding from all openings on their faces. When Lin Ke finished speaking, Si Yian's eyes shattered like a mirror and lost all its calmness. Lin Ke didn't dare to conceal anything and resumed. While I was scouting for news, I also autumn water from the Fearless Alliance rushed out of the Yuan residence and seemed to be heading for Emperor Ji's estate. A second later, a crisp snap, and Lin Ke watched blankly as the handle under Si Yian's hand was crushed. Crushed! Chapter 1459. Lin Ke almost curled into a ball from the fright of seeing the crushed handle of the wooden chair. He cautiously distanced himself from Si Yihan before comforting him. Ninth brother, calm down. I'm not done yet. This goo poison can't be relieved by banging a random person. It must be with the man the victim likes, or else it's useless. So, aren't you the only one who can relieve this goo poison, ninth brother? However, Si Yihan's expression didn't improve at all after hearing that, and darkened a few degrees instead. Lin Ke suddenly thought of something and murmured aghast, "Shit. Wait. What if that girl falls in love with someone else?" As soon as he said that, the handle under Si Yihan's hand turned into complete smithereens. Jiang Yin, prepare the car. The man abruptly stood up, a blizzard mixed in his low voice. Jiang Yin was startled and promptly asked, "May this subordinate ask where my lord is going?" "The Yuan residence." Jiang Yan's face filled with joy. "Yes, this subordinate will prepare the car immediately." "That's great. Lord Azura will finally attack the Fearless Alliance." The Yuan family elder next to Jiang family was also incredibly excited. "Thank you, my lord, for standing up for my Yuan family. As long as my lord shows up, the Fearless Alliance will definitely become stricken with terror." He wondered what Lin Ke told Lord Azura that caused him to fly into a terrible rage like this and personally seek out the Fearless Alliance. Anyhow, the Fearless Alliance was going to die for sure. Upon seeing this, Lin Ke also panicked and rushed up. "Hey, wait for me. I'm also going. I can disguise myself. I absolutely won't be discovered." Soon, a black car headed for the Yuan family headquarters occupied by the Fearless Alliance. At the same time, at the Yuan residence, dark clouds covered Seven Star and Big Dipper's faces. Big Dipper gulped. What should we do? Do we really have to go and abduct Lord Azura? Seven Star gave Big Dipper an unimpressed look. "You've gone mad." Big Dipper pursed his lips. But Sis Fong specifically said she likes Lord Azura. "What else can we do?" Seven Star's brows tightly burrowed together, and he thought about it for a moment before saying, "Continue to send people to choose some young men. If the main store doesn't have any, go to the branches to get them. Pick some that resemble Lord Azura's looks and aura. Please, is someone with Lord Azura's appearance and aura that easy to find?" Big Dipper was rendered speechless. "But we'll try it as a last resort to fix this hopeless situation. There's nothing else we can do. I'll deal with it immediately." Big Dipper hastily relayed the order before looking at the time on his watch. "We don't have much time left. We'll probably have to make double preparations. We'll need to find fresh meat, but we'll also have to invite Lord Azura." Seven Star glanced at him like he was an idiot. "Invite? How are planning to invite him? And what will you tell him after inviting him here?" "Ahem. I'll say that the president wants to invite him for sleeping." Seven Star, who cares? We'll discuss it after I make a trip to Azura. With Sis Feng's personality, if she takes a liking to someone, we can't pull her back even with 9 bulls. Of course, we might have some possibility of pulling her back if there's someone better looking. But the problem is, where could we find someone prettier looking than Lord Azura? While the duo anxiously racked their brains for a solution, A subordinate rushed inside in an utterly panicked manner. Lord Seven, Lord Seven. Not good. We're in big trouble. Chapter 1460. What are you making an uproar about? Big Dipper irritably admonished. What could be worse than Sis Fang's current situation? The subordinate gasped for air as he pointed at the main entrance and reported, Azura's people are here. What did you say? The Yuan family and Azura's people are on our doorstep, and Lord Azura also came here personally. The subordinate replied, terrified. Big Dipper and Seven Star met each other's eyes in shock. Damn, Big Dipper never would have expected Lord Azura to come here. Lord Big, Lord Seven, it's an important matter. Hurry and inform the president. The subordinate wiped off the sweat on his forehead. Big Dipper was about to speak when Seven Star interrupted him. No, we can't allow Sis Fong to see Lord Azura. Why? Big Dipper was anxious. With Sis Feng's current situation, we can't predict what she would do, explained Seven Star. Big Dipper nodded frantically. That's true. What if Sis Fong turns monstrous and does that to Lord Azura on the spot? That scene was simply unimaginable. Hold them off for now, and carefully receive them in the living room. I'll come soon. Seven Star ordered the subordinate. The subordinate nodded and quickly left. Big Dipper was about to go insane. Lord Azura actually came to visit personally. He doesn't really want to destroy our fearless alliance, right? Seven Star rolled his eyes. Now you know to be afraid. What were you doing earlier? He didn't agree to attack before, but this guy kept urging Sis Fong to come. Big Dipper grumbled. How would I know it would turn out like this? Let's hurry and figure out what we should do first. First, we analyze the situation. Remember, we mustn't let Sis Fong know Lord Azura is here. After a brief conversation, the duo headed for the living room in the front. Lord Azura really did come personally, and there were a few elders from the Yuan family, Jiang family, and a guard-like man next to him. Welcome, Lord Azura. Pardon us for not going out to meet you. As soon as the elders from the Yuan family saw the two of them, they angrily glared at the duo. How dare you act like the host? This is our Yuan residence. Your fearless alliance came here to provoke us and killed our patriarch. You gone too far. Seven Star's gaze chilled. Elder Li's words are remiss. It was clearly your Yuan family who terrorized a branch of our fearless alliance first. Our fearless alliance merely acted in self-defense. As for Patriarch Yuan's death, it was completely unrelated to us. He wanted to poison us with goo, but killed himself instead out of carelessness. When Si Yihan, who remained silent, heard the words, poison us with goo, a cold glint flashed through his eyes. You're spouting utter nonsense, a Yuan family elder shouted furiously. Seven Star's expression didn't shift at all. Patriarch Yuan's corpse is in the rear courtyard. You can examine him yourself. He has only himself to thank for this. Big Dipper interjected indignantly. Not only that, but he caused Sis Fong to be so miserable. Jiang Yin coldly rebuked them. Who do you think you are? How dare you stand here and speak to our esteemed Lord Azura? Where's your president? Tell her to come out already. Seven Star said, apologies, but the president is feeling unwell today. You can speak to me if needed. A Yuan family elder snorted. Heh, feeling unwell? I wager she's probably terrified, so she's hiding and is too scared to come out. Jiang Yin said next to Si Yihan's ears. My lord, it's true that the Fearless Alliance killed the patriarch of the Yuan family. We must give them an explanation. Si Yihan quietly sat in his spot, his expression frighteningly chilly. Lord Azura came to visit, but Yuan actually didn't show up despite being the president of the Fearless Alliance. Wan's situation was probably trickier than Lin Kei's description. Chapter 1461. Both Big Dipper and Seven Star didn't look too pleased. The Yuan family and Azura came on a rampage, and Lord Azura looked like he was hellbent on murder. It appeared it wouldn't end benignly this time. Yet Sis Fong just happened to encounter a mishap at this time, and the elders at the Fearless Alliance's headquarters were all watching them like a tiger watching its prey. If Azura really interfered, everything pointed to disaster. The atmosphere turned tense as each second passed, and everyone was on the verge of eruption. At this moment, the sound of footsteps was heard behind them. Explanation? May I ask what kind of explanation does His Highness Lord Azura want? Accompanied by a melodious and languid voice, Yi Wanwan appeared in front of everyone. As soon as Big Dipper saw Yi Wanwan, he became stunned. Sis Feng, why did you come here? Yi Wanwan narrowed her eyes. What? Am I not allowed to come? No. Big Dipper shut his mouth instantly and hastily pulled out a chair for her. The moment Yi Wanwan appeared, the sitting man's gaze darted toward her instantly. Please give me a reason for this matter, President Bai. As Siyin spoke, he examined the girl imperceptibly. Yi Wanwan had walked there on pure willpower. It was just that outsiders couldn't see anything wrong with her due to her concealment. But the fine sweat covering her forehead and her deathly pale complexion still gave clues to her current abnormal condition. Yi Wanwan acted like the intense numbing and pain plaguing her didn't exist and smiled aloofly as she casually said, Do I need a reason to want to fight? She had made preparations ahead of time to handle this situation. Even if Azura's people really sought them out, the Yuan family wasn't standing on the side of reason for this matter. Moreover, a starving camel was still bigger than a horse. Their fearless alliance couldn't be shaken this easily by just anyone. With Lord Azura's sophistication, there was no way he would have a complete fallout with the fearless alliance because of the mere Yuan family. He should know who was more important. Based on the matter last time, Lord Azura was very shrewd and ruthless and handled matters flawlessly. Hence, she wasn't worried about this. However, she didn't anticipate Lord Azura would come personally this time. Was it just a coincidence? Everyone was rendered speechless when they heard Yi Wanwan's words. The Yuan family elder frothed with rage. Lord Azura, Your Highness, look. She's clearly provoking us malevolently and is looking down on you. Yi Wanwan didn't sit down on the chair that Big Dipper pulled out. Instead, she sat down on the chair next to Siyin without any regards and nonchalantly propped her head on her hand while unwaveringly staring at him. There was only a small square table separating them, and their breaths mingled together. When Yi Wanwan heard the Yuan family elder's words, she raised her brows. Look down on Lord Azura? How could I? All I see is His Highness, Lord Azura. No matter what, Lord Azura came with perfect timing. When Lord Azura heard her words and saw his reflection in the girl's bewitching and dazzling eyes, his eyes flickered imperceptibly, and he turned evasive for a moment. Lin Kei, disguised as the guard next to Lord Azura, couldn't help but choke and break into coughs, but he scrambled to calm down when he met Siyihin's warning gaze. Upon detecting the girl's approach, Siyihin imperceptibly withdrew the hand that he laid on the table and placed it on the handle of his chair instead. Chapter 1462. 1462, however. Yi Wanwan clearly didn't look like she intended to back down. Your Highness, Lord Azura, what do you think? Seven Star lowered his voice and reminded her. Sis Feng, you can't. Big Dipper also frantically wiped off his sweat of fright upon seeing his president flirting with Lord Azura in front of everyone. He hastily said, Sis Feng, don't act rashly. If she offended Lord Azura at a time like this, things wouldn't end well. Yi Wanwan exasperatedly glanced at her right and left hand before calmly saying, It's inconvenient to speak with so many people around. How about we talk privately, Lord Azura? When Seven Star and Big Dipper heard that, they were wrought with anxiety. Shit, talk privately? How could they allow these two to be together by themselves at a time like this? A Yuan family elder shouted angrily. Vixen, what trick do you want to play now? Yi Wanwan chuckled lightly and was about to speak when an intense wave of pain crashed through her body. Caught off guard, her mask fractured for a moment and her complexion turned white as paper. Thankfully, it only lasted a few seconds, and the people from Azura and the Yuan family didn't notice anything. At this moment, a low male voice was heard. Leave. Jiang Yin turned anxious. My lord, you can't. What if she harms you? Lin Kei immediately interjected. Jiang Yin, You're acting presumptuously. How dare you disobey our Lord's orders? Are you doubting our Lord's capabilities? Do you think our Lord isn't capable? Leave already." As Lin Kei said that, he inwardly complained, I knew it'd be like this. That girl merely showed a tinge of discomfort, and Ninth Brother instantly tossed every principle to the back of his mind. In the end, Jiang family had no choice but to comply and retreat with gritted teeth. The elders from the Yuan family also followed them and left hurriedly. Who was Lord Azura? He didn't believe this girl could seriously play any tricks. The people from Azura also quickly obeyed the order and retreated. Upon seeing Seven Star and Big Dipper standing there still, Yuan glanced at them and asked nonchalantly, "What are you standing around for? Do you think you aren't bright enough?" Seven Star, Big Dipper. "What? We got rejected for being light bulbs." Big Dipper's eyes shifted as he thought of something. He leaned next to Yuan's ears and said, "Sis Feng, can you come with me? I have something to tell you." Yuan followed Big Dipper to the side. Big Dipper suppressed his voice and said next to her ear, "Sis Feng, do you need me to help you? I have a good idea." Yuan glanced at him. "Help me how?" Big Dipper rubbed his hands metaphorically. "Well, I'll add some hallucinogens to Lord Azura's tea. Won't you be able to do whatever you want him then? Aren't I so clever, Sis Feng?" Yuan dryly glanced at him and narrowed her eyes dangerously. "You think I need to drug a man in order to freaking sleep with him? Huh?" Big Dipper was scared witless instantly. No, that's not what I meant. Sis Feng, your beauty captivates even the birds and beasts and exceeds the natural world. If you take a liking to a man, who could resist? But what Big Dipper didn't say was, but you just had to take a liking to Lord Azura. How could an ultimate great devil like Lord Azura be considered a normal man? In the end, Seven Star and Big Dipper were forcibly kicked out by Yuan. Time was ticking. Even if it was a risk, they had to let Sis Feng try. Sis Feng is too awful. She forgets her brothers as soon as she has a beauty with her. She actually kicked me out. Seven Star felt his head aching as he glanced at Big Dipper. Was that the main point? I wonder whether Autumn Water figured out a solution. Seven Star muttered pensively. What solution could she possibly think of? As Big Dipper said that, he secretly snuck to the door, and rustling was heard as he did something. Seven Star walked over and asked with a frown, "What are you doing?" Big Dipper locked the door while saying, "Hee, I'm going to seal the door superglued shut. I'll make sure Sis Feng can successfully do her business." Seven Star. Chapter 1463. 1463. Yuan and Lord Azura were the only two remaining inside the room following everyone's departure. After the numbing and aching that reached the bone marrow passed, she was enveloped in a pain that made her feel like she was swallowed by the lava from a volcano. It was a pain worse than death. She didn't know how she maintained her calm facade in front of everyone. That cursed nameless Nya. In the end, if it weren't for that idiot eating from both sides, she wouldn't become the victim of such an odd goo poison. Now, how nice of them. They just dusted off their pants and left while she was about to lose her life. Lord Azura placed down the teacup in his hand and looked at her. "President Bai, please speak frankly." "Speak frankly?" "Okay." Yuan nodded and proceeded to ask, "Your Highness, Lord Azura, are you tired?" The man looked bewildered. Yuan scooted over and propped her chin on her hand as she explained, "If you're tired, how about we sleep for a while before talking?" Si Yin was silent for a moment before saying, "No need." Yuan didn't look surprised, but she did look regretful. Her fiery gaze locked onto the man as she slowly said, "Then, I can only use peaceful means before resorting to force." After Yuan said that, she leaned forward without warning, and her soft lips covered the man's lips without any hesitation. When her soft but boiling lips landed on his expression finally changed. His pitch-black and icy eyes dilated, and his hands raised slightly as though he wanted to push her away, but they froze in the air. A few seconds passed before he finally pushed her away. His low and rough voice sounded a bit tense. "President Bai, please respect yourself. Yi Wanwan breathed heavily. Respect myself your ass. If the person in front of her was truly Si Yihan, and he was determined to conceal his identity from her, she definitely wouldn't win against him with his intelligence. When she realized that, defeat overwhelmed her heart. An intense pain suddenly radiated from her heart, and her face turned white as paper as she tightly clutched her chest. Ah, you. The man immediately reached out to support the collapsing girl. Si Yihan's face didn't look so good. Did she really get poisoned by this goo poison that he had never heard of? Yi Wanwan swallowed the blood in her mouth and took a deep breath before standing up. Lord Azura, please leave. The man frowned lightly. Cold sweat drenched Yi Wanwan's forehead. She chuckled and said, My sincere apologies, but to be truthful, Lord Azura, I'm truly not well enough to receive guests today. Patriarch Yuan poisoned me with mutually in-love goo, and I need to have sex with the person I like within 12 hours to dissolve the goo. Now, I only have 2 hours left. Si Yihan's expression changed completely upon hearing that. Yi Wanwan didn't sound like she was lying, and the effects on her body couldn't be faked. If he didn't help her relieve the poison now, she might die. If he helped her relieve the poison, there was an extremely high possibility he'd expose his identity. She greatly suspected him to begin with. I'm truly sorry. I need to go relieve this poison first. Yi Wanwan's words were essentially the same as, I need to go find a man I like and sleep with him first. Si Yihan's hold on the girl's fingers tightened abruptly. At this moment, a commotion was suddenly heard from outside the door. Big Dipper 7-star? Where's Xiaofeng? Why are you two standing here? Why is this door locked? Autumn Water asked in incomprehension upon arriving and seeing this current situation. Chapter 1464, How's your president? The man next to Autumn Water also inquired. When Big Dipper saw the man who spoke, he felt like he was struck by lightning. Shit. Emperor G. Autumn Water actually managed to call Emperor G here. Big Dipper wasn't the only one stupefied. 7-star also looked stunned. Why are you standing around? Hurry and bring us to see Xiaofeng. There's not much time left. Autumn Water anxiously urged. Is Xiaofeng in there? Yes. But Big Dipper was still stuck in a stupor. Then hurry and open the door. Autumn Water pressed. Autumn Water, aren't you too awesome? How did you trick Emperor G into coming here? Big Dipper asked after dragging her to the side. Don't ask how I called him here. Hurry and let us see Xiaofeng. Big Dipper covertly glanced at the room and replied with an awkward expression. I can't. Sis Feng is a bit occupied right now. Autumn Water hounded. Occupied? What do you mean? Don't tell me you randomly found someone for Xiaofeng. Utter nonsense. Didn't you say it can only be treated by someone she liked? No. We didn't randomly find someone. It's Big Dipper didn't know what to say. Should he tell her they tricked Lord Azura in there? Crash. A broken clatter was heard from inside the room. Xiaofeng. Xiaofeng, what happened? Big Dipper. What in the world are you doing? Hurry and open the door. Autumn Water snatched the key from Big Dipper and hastily opened the door. After the door opened, Autumn Water, Emperor G, and the others entered immediately. Broken pieces of porcelain from the teacup littered the floor, and Yi Wanwan looked weak and pale while the man next to her carefully supported her body. When Autumn Water saw the man inside the room, she was dumbstruck. Lord Azura, why is Lord Azura here? Autumn Water turned to Big Dipper and 7-star, dumbfounded, and sent them an inquiring gaze. It was 7-star who answered. Lord Azura is here because of the matter with the Yuan family. Big Dipper lowered his voice and said, Autumn Water, you know how urgent Sis Feng's situation was, so we thought perhaps there was an off chance that Lord Azura could help Sis Feng get rid of the poison. Black lines covered Autumn Water's face. You've gone mad. Where did you get the guts, Big Dipper? Big Dipper felt wronged to death. It definitely wasn't him who was gutsy, all right? However, based on Lord Azura and Sis Feng's dress state, nothing happened yet probably. Thankfully, their president still retained some rationality. Yi Wanwan was surprised when she saw Emperor Ji entering. Ji Shiran, why are you here? How sinful. From the looks of it, it was Autumn Water who called him there. Why did she feel like she was caught in the act of cheating with Ji Shiran's arrival? When the man next to Yi Wanwan saw the newcomer, his expression also darkened a few degrees. Last time, he had Lin Ke look into the matter, but he didn't uncover anything about the relationship between Emperor Ji and Bai Feng. Judging from Emperor Ji's attitude toward Wanwan, though, there had to be some secret. At the very least, Emperor Ji had to have had an unusual relationship with Wanwan before she lost her memory. At the same time, Ji Shiran also looked at Si Yihan silently for a moment before turning to Yi Wanwan with a faintly discernible smile on his face. He nonchalantly answered, "I came to help you cure your poison." "Help me cure my poison?" A strange silence descended on the room following Ji Shiran's words. Chapter 1465. The warmth in Si Yihan's eyes receded instantly, and they turned into a blanket of ice and snow. As for Yi Wanwan, she was utterly dumbfounded. "Help me cure my poison?" But there didn't seem to be anything wrong with those words based on Bai Feng and Emperor Ji's relationship. Big Dipper coughed violently. Shit. Not only did they really invite Emperor Ji here, but he also wanted to help Sis Feng cure her poison? Did he know what he was saying? Emperor Ji's lips turned up with a faint smile. "Is there a problem with that?" Yi Wanwan. No way would she dare to say there was a problem. If she said that, wouldn't she be exposing her fake identity as Bai Feng? After another wave of awkwardness, an elderly man walked out from the back and asked, "Excuse me, who's the one poisoned by goo?" Emperor Ji led the elderly man toward the front. "It's her. Thank you for your trouble, Elder Chi." Who is this elderly sir? Yi Wanwan was lost as she looked at this white-haired elderly man in front of her. "It's the doctor I invited here to help cure your poison. Elder Chi is an expert in relieving goo," Emperor Ji answered. Yi Wanwan heaved a sigh of relief upon hearing that, and clapped her chest. So you invited a doctor here to help me cure the goo. What a fright." Emperor Ji smiled aloofly. "How should I help you cure it otherwise?" Yi Wanwan choked a little. Emperor Ji smiled and said, "We can use another method if you want." No. Yi Wanwan hastily extended her hand to allow the elderly doctor to examine her. Elder Chi laid his fingers over Yi Wanwan's pulse and started examining her. About 10 minutes later, the elderly man finished feeling her pulse. He looked a bit stunned, as though he ran into some unexpected circumstances. "This, Elder Chi, is there a solution to Xiao Feng's mutually in love goo?" The person who developed the goo said it was solvable. Autumn Water pressed worriedly. The white-haired elderly man combed through his beard with a serious expression. "Originally, it was solvable, but President Bai isn't poisoned by mutually in love goo." "Huh? Not mutually in love goo? What is it then?" Big Dipper asked. Everyone in the room turned to the elderly man. "President Bai isn't poisoned by mutually in love goo. She's poisoned by the king of goo, love goo," Elder Chi replied. Big Dipper and Seven Star were shocked. "Love goo?" Yi Wanwan weakly supported herself against the table. "And what's love goo?" What Yi Wanwan didn't notice was that Si Yihan's expression shifted after hearing the words, "love goo." Emperor Ji glanced at her before explaining. "Perhaps not many people know about mutually in love goo, but quite a number of people know about the king of goo, love goo. Many members of the Gu Miao tribe can only successfully refine love goo once in their lifetime." "How can it be cured?" Yi Wanwan asked. Elder Chi said, "Normally, girls would poison the boy they liked with love goo to make them desperate in love and devoted to them. The mother goo would be in the girl's body, while the child goo would be in the guy's body. If the man fornicated with her after truly falling in love with her within 3 months, they'd survive. Otherwise, both people would die from poison." Si Yihan. Yi Wanwan was stupefied after hearing that. Mutually in love goo only required her to like the other person, whereas love goo required the other person to fall in love with her. One was easy mode, while the other was freaking difficult mode. Chapter 1466. Yi Wanwan felt dizzy. Um, wait, you said the mother goo is inside the girl while the child goo is inside the man, but am I not the only one poisoned by goo? So, where's the child goo? The white-haired elderly man replied, You'd have to ask yourself where the child goo is, President Bai. Who did you cast it to? Yu Wanwan was aghast. Ask myself? How would I know who I cast it to? I didn't cast it to anyone. Wait. Yi Wanwan's expression abruptly changed. After coming to the Yuan residence, only 2 people were poisoned by goo. Aside from herself, the other person was Patriarch Yuan. It freaking couldn't be Patriarch Yuan, right? Moreover, Patriarch Yuan was freaking dead already. Sweat seeped out of Yi Wanwan's forehead. If it really was Patriarch Yuan, she would rather die. She was the one who got cast by goo, Emperor Ji explained. Elder Qi pondered over it for a long while before discovering the cause. So it's like that? President Bai, your situation is a bit complicated. The goo inside your body probably was mutually in love goo at first, which is a mutation of love goo, but due to some unknown accident, the mutually in love goo successfully transformed into love goo after entering your body. Transformed into love goo. Yi Wanwan repeated. That's right. You can interpret it as an evolution. It's a rare situation, but it's not completely unheard of. Yi Wanwan wore an FML expression. That's a thing? Could I be any more unlucky? The elderly man continued. The moment the mutually in love goo successfully evolves into love goo, it breaks into mother and child goo. The mother goo would stay inside your body, while the child goo would enter the body of the first man you have intimate contact with. When I examined your pulse just now, President, your body only contains mother goo, so you must have cast the child goo to someone else already. Yuanwan gulped. The body of the first man I have intimate contact with? Well, the only good news was that it probably wasn't Patriarch Yuan, since she didn't even touch him once. The elderly man replied, That's right. So can you please try to remember if there was someone you had intimate contact with during this period of time, President? Then we'll know whose body contains the child goo. Everyone's gazes landed on Yi Wanwan. Autumn Water pressed urgently. Xiao Feng. Who did you have intimate contact with? Yi Wanwan rubbed her head. Hold on, let me confirm something first. Elderly sir, what degree of intimacy are you referring to when you say intimate contact? Don't tell me that a mere kiss would cast the goo onto someone? The elderly man nodded. You can. You can transmit it through saliva. Yi Wanwan held her head speechlessly, looking like she was on the brink of a breakdown. Emperor Ji's eyes glinted, and he imperceptibly glanced at the man next to Yi Wanwan. Xiao Feng, just who is it? Who did you cast the child goo to? Autumn Water asked anxiously. Yi Wanwan was about to collapse. Don't ask, okay? How should I answer? Should I say, I planted the child goo in Lord Azura's body in front of Emperor Ji? While Yi Wanwan was entangled in turmoil, everyone saw Lord Azura pushing the sleeve of his suit upward slightly and adjusting it before extending his wrist toward the white-haired elderly man. He looked at him and said, Please feel my pulse for me. Elder Qi was startled. Why did this person suddenly want him to feel his pulse? The man's aura was too imposing. So the elderly man reflexively obeyed his order without much thinking and bent down, carefully placing his fingers on the man's wrist and feeling his pulse. At the same time, everyone's gazes shot toward the doctor. 1 second passed, 10 seconds passed, 1 minute passed. The elderly man examined him 3 or 4 whole times, his expression shifting again and again, before finally raising his head. First, he looked at Emperor Ji, then Yi Wanwan, then Emperor Ji again. The child goo is inside this mister's body, Autumn Water. 7-star, Big Dipper face-bombed at a loss for words. He had never been disappointed in Sis Fang's guts. She actually dared to make advances on Lord Azura. Chapter 1467. At first, it was easy mode, then it turned into difficult mode. If the opponent was Lord Azura, though, it was simply hell mode. After Lord Azura's diagnosis came out, Yuanwan didn't dare to look at Ji Shiran's expression. After listening to the elderly doctor, her first reaction was to hide it. Who would have expected Lord Azura to tell the doctor to feel his pulse without any warning? Now, what they did in the room earlier was self-evident. Yi Wanwan cautiously glanced at Ji Xiaoran, who had a dark and obscure expression on his face. Ahem, if she said she accidentally bumped into him, would anyone believe her? Oh my god! The love goose child goo was actually planted inside Lord Azura. A strange silence descended upon the room again. Elder Chi, are you sure? Seven Star asked. The white-haired, elderly man sounded certain. I verified it 3 times. There's no mistake about it. Yi Wanwan. All right, the doctor directly stamped a seal of confirmation that the two of them acted intimately somehow. Everyone. Autumn Water was the first to react. She hastily walked toward Lord Azura and was trembling as she fearfully pleaded for mercy. Your Highness equals Lord Azura. Our president only lost control of her behavior because she was poisoned by goo. She didn't intend to offend you, so please don't blame her. Yi Wanwan blinked. Huh? Lose control? I didn't lose control. She controlled herself rather well the whole time. If she really lost control, it wouldn't be as simple as a mere kiss. She would have tried to cure the poison directly. Autumn Water angrily glared at her in warning. Did she want to die? Yi Wanwan rubbed her nose and stopped talking. Bang! The room door was suddenly pushed open. Jiang Yin and the guard by Lord Azura's side earlier entered together. Jiang Yin seemed to have heard what happened in there, and his rage skyrocketed as he shouted, You shameless vixen! You're simply unscrupulous and impudent. I knew you had something up your sleeves. How dare you use this type of shameless, underhanded trick to plot against our lord? When Yi Wanwan saw Jiang Yan's righteously indignant and humiliated expression, she thought of something and murmured, PFT, your tone really sounds like an old friend of mine. He was identical to the ruffled Lu Ying back then. As Yi Wanwan said that, she peered at Lord Azura with a sardonic smile, but couldn't detect anything unusual in his expression. Jiang Yin snorted. By phone, you're the leader of a gang at least. Don't you find it a disgrace to use such despicable methods? Yi Wanwan raised her hand. Hey, hold on. Brother, may I ask whether you personally witnessed what happened in here earlier? How did you know it was me who violated your Lord Azura? What if it's him who did something to me? No matter what, the one who took a loss was me, the girl, right? See Yihan. Jiang Yan's eyes nearly popped out from how wide they were, and he wanted to vomit blood. You're talking nonsense. Why would my lord do that? Yi Wanwan pursed her lips. Perhaps he did something even more unimaginable. If you knew, you would become disillusioned about your lord and turn from a fan into a hater. Cough, 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 cough. Big Dipper had a choking fit while Seven Star looked somewhat embarrassed. Although they should stand on the president's side, they themselves didn't believe Sis Feng's words. Chapter 1468. 1468 The fake guard, Lin K, walked over to smooth over the situation. Hey, calm down. It's not the time for an argument. We need to think of a solution. Otherwise, both President Bai and Lord Azura's lives are at stake. Jiang Yin glared at Yi Wanwan viciously before half-kneeling in front of Si Yihan and said, Don't worry, my lord. This subordinate will definitely find a remedy for the goo within 3 months. Yi Wanwan said with a grin, Thanks for your trouble then, since this president has someone she likes already. Already have someone you like? Who? Big Dipper inquired curiously. When Autumn Water heard that, she heaved with relief. Thank goodness Xiao Feng said that. Or else, how could she explain herself to Emperor Ji? This was seriously a thorny matter, though. Xiao Feng liked Emperor Ji, and there was no way Lord Azura would fall in love with Xiao Feng. So how should they cure this love goo? Yi Wanwan first glanced at Lord Azura imperceptibly before responding to Big Dipper. The one I like is naturally a super great beauty. Moreover, he's willing to do everything I wish and treats me gently in every way possible. He would never lie to me or betray me. Big Dipper was shocked. Earlier, she said she had to sleep with Lord Azura, but now she said she had someone she liked already. Just how brilliant was the person she liked? A thought suddenly struck Big Dipper, and his head turned to Emperor G with a swish. Shit, Big Dipper murmured, dumbstruck. Sis phone, the one you like, can't possibly be Emperor G, right? Emperor G had been rather close with their fearless alliance lately. Big Dipper blurted it out without thinking and spoke rather loudly, so everyone heard him. He didn't know whether it was his imagination, but Lord Azura's glance at him just now was terrifyingly cold. As for G. Chiron, he wore a faint smile the whole time, and no one could discern any change in expression. Seven Star glanced at Big Dipper with a frown, reminding him to think before he spoke, before turning to Emperor G and apologizing. Emperor G, please don't fault Big Dipper for having a slip of the tongue. G. Chiron smiled and nonchalantly said, Why would I? It'd be my honor to be liked by President Bai. Seven Star, Big Dipper, Yuan, why do I suddenly feel a bit chilly? Aside from Autumn Water, who remained unsurprised, both Seven Star and Big Dipper jolted in fright when they heard that. However, they knew Emperor G's personality and character, so he was probably speaking courteously and giving them face. Emperor G wasn't someone to be trifled with, though. The ever-smiling G. Chiron wasn't any less dangerous than Lord Azura. Anyhow, regardless of who Sis Foam provoked out of these two, she would be seeking death either way. Elder Chi, do you have any remedy for the goo? Emperor G asked the white-haired elderly man. In truth, I've been researching remedies for love goo all these years. I did have some results, but I've never succeeded. Hence, currently speaking, if we want to relieve the goo in a short amount of time, I'm afraid it'd be very difficult. The fastest and safest way is still. Elder Chi sent Lord Azura a meaningful look. Everyone turned to Lord Azura. Chapter 1469. In truth, Big Dipper and Seven Star both thought it'd be easy on Sis Feng's side, considering her unprincipled personality and existing covetous feelings for Lord Azura. However, if they wanted Lord Azura to fall in love with Sis Feng and mate with her, it'd be the same as dreaming. It would already be an accomplishment if Lord Azura didn't destroy their fearless alliance in a fit of rage. Big Dipper, Seven Star, and Autumn Water all turned ashen, especially when they noticed Lord Azura's extremely dark expression. She could have cast the goo on anyone. Why did it have to be Lord Azura? Ever since Si Yi and heard Yi Wanwan say she already had someone she liked, he felt like his heart had fallen into a bottomless icy pit and was drowning in bone-chilling water, numb from the cold. Let's not forget Emperor G's tacit agreement after that. The dangerous, threatening pressure around the man dropped down in an earth-shattering manner, stirring fear in people's hearts and causing even Jiang Yan to shiver. We're doomed. We're doomed. We're truly done for this time. Autumn Water secretly sighed with regret. If only she brought Emperor G earlier, then everything would have been resolved and they would have relieved the poison at any moment. She was only a step late, but the matter devolved into this disaster. Autumn Water had no choice but to hastily explain. Your Highness the Lord Azura, my president was also a victim. It's all because of Patriarch Yuan's underhanded tactics. My president absolutely didn't intentionally poison you with the goo. Please think about this matter justly. However, Autumn Water's words didn't ease the man's expression at all. It worsened instead. Lin K felt his head pounding with a headache. Sister, could your words be any more stinging and callous? It'd be fine if that girl purposely poisoned him with goo. The sentence, I already have someone I like, kept repeating in Si Yihan's mind like a magic incantation, and he felt a thirst for blood, more intense than he'd ever felt before, storming rampantly inside of him, nearly ripping him apart. He didn't know how he repressed his desire to pull her into his arms, embrace her, kiss her, and meld her into his bones and blood. The terrifyingly dangerous, tornado-like aura around the man abruptly dissipated, and he finally managed to forcefully repress his nearly uncontrollable emotions and walk away. His rigid figure was cold like a man traversing through a wintry Arctic field all by himself. My lord, Jiang Yin reflexively called out after being startled briefly. Fearless Alliance. My Azura absolutely won't take everything that happened today lying down. Wish yourself good luck. Jiang Yin had never seen his lord this enraged before, so he hastily followed his lord after Lord Azura threw these ruthless words at them. Lin Ke hesitantly glanced at Yuan Wan. He originally wanted to say something, but there were too many people there, so it wasn't suitable for further conversation. He was forced to swiftly chase after the rest of his group. How miserable! Ninth brother must be ready to erupt with rage. That girl couldn't really have fallen in love with someone else, right? Lord Azura. Lord Azura. By the time Autumn Water chased after them to the door, they were gone. A moment later, Autumn Water returned with a deathly pale complexion. We're probably screwed this time. It absolutely wasn't a minor matter that President Fearless successfully conspired against Lord Azura. Seven Star also looked abnormally serious. This not only concerned Sis Feng's life. Disaster was probably also imminent for the entire Fearless Alliance. Big Dipper feebly said, "No way, right? If Sis Feng really dies, Lord Azura also won't survive." Autumn Water rolled her eyes at him. "We can only hope that Azura won't find a remedy for the love goo." Big Dipper, what's wrong with you? I just left for a brief period. How did you watch over Xiao Feng? How could you allow this to happen? Third Elder. What do you mean? If you haven't found evidence that proves that woman is the fake president, you mustn't act. Don't forget the rules we established with the other camps, said a white-haired elderly man with a frown. Since I said that, I've naturally found proof. Third Elderly C smiled. The white-haired elderly man was surprised. Are you serious, Third Elder? Of course. Third Elderly C called outside the door. Bring him inside. Chapter 1471. 1471 soon. Several members of the Fearless Alliance dragged a man covered with cuts and bruises all over inside the room. If Yuan Wan was there, she would have definitely immediately recognized this man as Zhou Wu from the Zhou family. Zhou Wu was deathly pale and covered in ghastly wounds. Qiu where? Zhou Wu looked up and furiously glared at Third Elderly C. Qiu is still a child. What do you want? Li Si stood up and strode toward Zhou Wu. He chuckled lightly and said, "Zhou Wu, your child is fine. Don't worry. As long as you honestly answer a few of my questions, this matter will pass." Zhou Wu looked up and glared at Li Si with clenched teeth. He refused to say anything even when he was interrogated by torture in the Fearless Alliance's dungeon, so these monsters actually used Qiu to threaten him. "Zhou Wu, your Zhou family doesn't have it easy. There's no need to cause your Zhou family to be destroyed because of some irrelevant person. Also, although your son is a mute, I think he's rather cute," Li family said with a snort. "What do you want to ask?" Zhou Wu trembled at the mention of Qiu. Based on what I know, President Fearless by Feng first showed up with the Zhou family. Also, I heard the president was pursued by the Martial Arts Union after coming to the independent state because she didn't have a permit. It was you who helped President Fearless evade the Martial Arts Union's investigation team and brought her back to the Zhou residence. Am I right? Li Si asked as his lips curled up. No, I have no idea what you're talking about. Zhou Wu tightly clenched his fists. Well, it's fine if you don't know. I'll make you remember. After Li Si said that, a muscled man entered the room. The muscled man carried a terrified Qiu toward the window, grabbed him by the neck, and raised him outside the window. "Bastard! You monsters!" Zhou Wu shouted furiously and struggled to stand up. Bang! At that moment, Li Si punched Zhou Wu's abdomen. Zhou Wu's face twisted as he weakly knelt on the ground and curled into a ball. "Zhou Wu, don't do things the hard way. I'll give you one last chance. If you tell the truth, I'll let you leave with Mute and can guarantee the Zhou family's safety. If you continue to refuse my generosity, you can prepare to collect your Mute son's corpse and the corpses of hundreds of members of the Zhou family." Third Elder threatened with a chilly chuckle. He then coldly shouted, "Who is our current President Fearless?" What's her name? And where did she come from? Zhou Wu's red eyes turned to Qiu. He shook his head and was forced to compromise. She is Yuan Wan. When Zhou Wu spoke, third elderly C and the other two elderly men's eyes brightened. Good, very well. Let me ask you, where did she come from? Li Si asked. China, Zhou Wu answered between gritted teeth. Are you telling the truth? Li Si smiled faintly. It's the truth, Zhou Wu sighed. Upon hearing everything he needed to know, Li Si waved his hand and had the muscled man pull Qiu back before locking both Zhou Wu and Qiu into the dungeon. A moment later, Li Si dialed a number from China and had a group there help him investigate the matter. Chapter 1472. 2 days later, after the group in China investigated every detail about Yuan Wan, they brought a woman to the independent state. The woman appeared rather nervous inside the conference room and kept examining her surroundings. I heard you're Yuan Wan's teacher? Li Si asked the middle-aged woman. Yes, I have a student named Yuan Wan. Who in the world are you? And where are we? The woman looked frantic. Don't worry. Answer a few questions for me first. What's your name? Li Si asked. The woman swallowed. She seemed to have realized these people weren't good in any way and didn't dare to conceal anything. She apprehensively answered, My name is Liang Lihua. Liang Lihua was Yi Wanwan's class teacher in senior high school. 2 days ago, she was tailed for some reason and was knocked unconscious. Then she woke up here. Miss Liang, don't worry, Li Si said seemingly amiably. We don't want to make things difficult for you, but we need your help with something. Help? That's right. The girl you call Yi Wanwan is currently in our organization and acting as our organization's leader, but we suspect she's a fake. We merely hope you can honestly tell us this Yi Wanwan's real identity. Li Si planned to use a soft approach first. If this woman didn't cooperate, he naturally had hundreds of methods to deal with her. Upon hearing the whole story, Liang Lihua was astonished. Wasn't Yuan Wan too gutsy? She actually dared to pretend to be the leader of a gang? Wasn't she asking for death? This faction was obviously not a group to be trifled with. So how could a girl like Yuan Wan, who just started university, be some leader of this kind of faction? This damn girl, it'd be fine if she wanted to die herself, but she also dragged me down too. Not long after Yi Wanwan graduated, her affair with one of the school leaders was exposed. They were so secretive about it, so how could anyone know about it? She suspected it was probably this damn girl who told on them. Miss Liang, as long as you testify against her, I can guarantee your safety and escort you back to China after the conclusion of this matter. Additionally, I can allow you to live the rest of your life without worry for clothes and food, Li Si benevolently proposed with a smile. A sharp glint flashed through Liang Lihua's eyes. This fearless alliance didn't have any animosities with her, so they probably wouldn't do anything to her as long as she did as they said. She might even benefit from them. After a moment of thought, Liang Lihua nodded without any hesitation and said, Yuan Wan wasn't anything good back in school anyway. She always dressed outlandishly and was an incompetent student. She even seduced men everywhere she went at a young age. Now, she actually dared to pretend to be the leader of some gang. She's truly a disgrace to our school. Don't worry, as a teacher, I'll definitely help you testify against her and expose her true, disgusting side. Great, Miss Liang. We're comforted by your words. Li Si nodded with satisfaction. Then he turned to his underlings and said, Inform all the elders and managers that I've found evidence proving that woman is a fake president. Yes. A young man nodded and turned to leave. About half an hour later, all the higher-ups rushed to the conference room after hearing Li Si's news. Chapter 1473. Liang Lihua was as quiet as a cicada in winter when she saw these powerful figures. She didn't even dare to breathe too loudly. When had Liang Lihua ever seen such an imposing scene? Even movies weren't so intimidating, let alone reality. Elderly man, you said you found proof. What kind of proof? A silver-haired, elderly man holding a crutch asked aloofly. Although they knew that woman was a fake, no one wanted any other camp to find the evidence. Since third elder Li Si found the evidence, Li Si would ascend the throne as the president of the Fearless Alliance according to the rules they agreed upon earlier, and no one could have any objections. And no need to be so anxious, everyone, third elder Li Si chuckled lightly. This is our President Fearless class teacher from when she went to senior high in China. How about you all direct your questions to her instead? When Li Si finished speaking, everyone present turned to Liang Lihua. Speak! What's going on? The silver-haired, elderly man shouted harshly while staring at Liang Lihua. The imposing aura of a superior caused Liang Lihua to tremble fiercely. A mere look from the silver-haired, elderly man caused sweat to drench Liang Lihua's entire body. However, she absolutely couldn't panic in this kind of situation, or else she might even lose her life. These people didn't look like law-abiding people in the slightest. Everyone, let me tell you, your current president is a fake. She's not real at all. Liang Lihua gathered her composure and tried her best to calm down before answering the elder. Liang Lihua promptly continued, your current president's real name is Yi Wanwan. She's Chinese. A lot of higher-ups' expressions shifted upon hearing that. Not everyone in the Fearless Alliance suspected Yi Wanwan. Some of the higher-ups adamantly supported Yi Wanwan and believed Yi Wanwan was the real president of the Fearless Alliance by phone, like Autumn Water and Big Dipper. However, after hearing Liang Lihua's words today, can you prove what you're saying? An elderly man in a cyan shirt questioned with a dark expression. Of course I can prove it. Liang Lihua nodded frantically. I'm the class teacher of senior grade 3 at China's Qing'e High School, and Yi Wanwan was one of my students back then. Let me tell you, Yi Wanwan is absolutely someone who would pretend to be your president. Yi Wanwan's father is a gambling addict and owes a truckload of money to loan sharks while her elder brother is a complete hoodlum. Not too long ago, he was in prison for murder charges. Also, Yi Wanwan is nothing good either. She's a slut and thief, a delinquent from head to toe. Perhaps she's even a street prostitute. Several higher-ups furrowed their brows. They wanted proof, not this woman's rubbish. I'm asking you, do you have proof? The elderly man asked coldly. Yes, I have proof. Liang Lihua pulled out her phone immediately and opened an album before placing it on the conference table. Look, this is Yi Wanwan's graduation photo from senior high. It hasn't been photoshopped at all, so you can examine it however you want. Moreover, you can verify everything I said just now. I haven't spoken a single false word. Words rushed out of Liang Lihua's mouth as she pointed out Yi Wanwan in the photo. Everyone looked at the phone. This photo caused the expressions of the higher-ups supporting Yi Wanwan to darken completely. Chapter 1474. The person in the photo was their current president, Fearless, without a doubt. Check this photo's authenticity. A middle-aged man had his subordinate copy the photo. A moment later, the subordinate returned and said with a frown, "There isn't any problem with the photo. It's real." A commotion erupted in the room. The elders of the different major camps all looked displeased. They didn't expect Li Si to really be the one who found evidence in the end. As for the higher-ups who supported Yi Wanwan, their faces were so dark that ink could drip. That woman really was a fake. See, I was telling the truth. That Yi Wanwan is simply the disgrace of Qing'e High School. Liang Lihua looked disgusted. That woman actually dared to pretend to be the president. The silver-haired, elderly man with a crutch was gnashing his teeth. Where is she? Is she back yet? She hasn't returned yet, a member of the Fearless Alliance answered. When she returns, don't beat the grass and scare the snake. Lock down the entire Fearless Alliance. The silver-haired, elderly man snorted and slammed the door after him as he left. Around that evening, 7-Star drove them back to the Fearless Alliance from the Yuan residence. The group of 3 entered the Fearless Alliance's headquarters. After entering the building, Yi Wanwan looked a bit confused. There was something off about some of the members' expressions. However, Yi Wanwan didn't think too much of it. Soon, Yi Wanwan entered the office. Sis Feng, What are you planning to do about the love goo? Why aren't you doing anything? This is related to your life. Big Dipper was turning in circles from worry. These past 2 days, Sis Feng acted like nothing was wrong and didn't look worried at all. Seriously, the Emperor's not worried, but the eunuch's worried to death. 7-Star stood by the side, his face also brimming with worry. I've already secretly sent people to look into a remedy for love goo, but the information I got says it's incurable. Yuan pinched her brows. Enough, I have my own plans about remedying the goo. Leave for now. I want to rest a bit. These 2 days had nearly exhausted all her energy. Aside from handling the aftermath of the Yuan family and reorganizing them, she also secretly contacted Liu Ying and ordered him to investigate traces of Xi Yihan in both the ancient Xi clan and China's Xi family. Since that person insisted he wasn't Xi Yihan, then she would expose his lie one by one. However, she would probably have to use the martial arts conference in the near future to come into contact with the ancient Xi clan. 7-Star nodded and dragged the prattling Big Dipper out of the office. After they left, Yuan sat in the chair behind the desk and closed her eyes to rest. After the long journey, she felt rather thirsty, so she absent-mindedly picked up a drink from the desk and drank it while thinking about recent events. Cough. Yuan nearly spat out the rest of what she drank after taking a gulp. This isn't a freaking beverage. This is clearly hard liquor with a high alcohol content. Yuan hastily picked up the bottle and carefully examined it. Isn't this the liquor that Shuehan gave me? She thought it was a homemade beverage from Shuehan like last time. Who knew it would really be alcohol? Damn you. Piece of shit. Yuan had swallowed it already, so she couldn't spit it back out in time. She wondered what kind of alcohol this was. It had a very fast and strong kick. She instantly felt her world spiral. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.